We ready, colleagues? All set? Well, welcome everyone here in the chambers with us this evening. It's very nice to see you and my colleagues here up in the dais. It seems like it's been a long time for me. I missed the last meeting, which was ably chaired by our Vice Mayor Duncan. Thank you, Vice Mayor. I appreciate that. I heard nothing but great comments, and it's a little bit different sitting in this chair than that chair. You don't get time to check your phone, I guess, right? So anyway, I appreciate that effort, and it's so great to see everybody. And let's go ahead and get this started. So I'm going to call to order the City Commission business meeting for Monday, July 26th, 2026. And the first order of business is roll call. Deputy Clerk Moss.
Commissioner Hess? Present. Commissioner Hoffman? Commissioner Praedel?
Present.
Commissioner Slavey?
Present.
Commissioner Wilson?
Present.
Vice Mayor Duncan?
Here.
Mayor Anderson?
Here. Thank you, Deputy Clerk Moss. May I have a motion to excuse Commissioner Hoffman?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson,
Seconded.
supported by Vice Mayor Duncan. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Well, we are blessed this evening to have the Reverend David Zomer here from Bethany Reformed Church to provide the invocation for us to get started. And just a reminder here, when he does come forward, I'll ask everybody in the chambers to stand for the invocation and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Reverend Zomer.
Dear Lord, we come before you as citizens of a fine country and a fine city. As we just came out of celebrations of independence and liberties, help us to keep that in mind as now the Commission goes down to the serious nitty-gritty work of budgets and finances and programming and dreaming for this city. So I ask that you bring wisdom to each one of these counselors, and I ask that you help us support them. Lord, we also ask for your blessing upon those who work for our city who have to deal with the heat. I saw the park workers out there with the kids playing soccer this afternoon. I heard many times the fire engines of our city fire departments. And we know there are jobs that are dangerous in this heat. So we lift up each one of those workers. Bless us. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you again, Reverend Zomer, for helping us get started here. Well, if we are lucky, we do have proclamations that come to us recognizing special events and times and individuals that are doing great things in our community. And it just so happens that we do have a proclamation on our agenda this evening, and it is for the 2026 National Day of Summer Learning. Let's not let any summer slide happen for any of us. So I know there are several individuals here to accept that proclamation. I will come down with it. It's going to be read by Commissioner Hess, so if you will come forward, please.
Welcome, and it gives me great pleasure in our Education City to proclaim the 2026 National Day of Summer Learning on July 16th, 2026. Whereas high-quality summer learning opportunities are more important than ever in 2026, Across the city of Kalamazoo, we are coming together to ensure youth and families have access to inclusive, high-quality youth programming and critical support for young people to heal, lead, and thrive in the summer months. And whereas the National Day of Summer Learning recognizes the vital role of inclusive, high-quality summer programs in supporting young people to thrive, and whereas these programs support youth to build positive identities, experience belonging, and exercise agency, nurturing lifelong social and emotional learning skills, and whereas these programs provide youth with real-world skills, mentorship, and meaningful opportunities to shape their futures and contribute to their communities. And whereas community partners, including schools, nonprofits, libraries, businesses, and youth themselves, are innovating to ensure all young people can access enriching, affirming, and culturally responsive summer experiences. And whereas the demand for these programs far exceeds the availability, we must create sustainable funding models and remove barriers to access, including transportation and cost. Now, therefore, on behalf of the 56th City Commission and David F. Anderson, Mayor of the City of Kalamazoo, I do hereby proclaim July 16th, 2026 as National Day of Summer Learning in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and do commend this observance to all our citizens. Congratulations.
Thank you for that. I'm Regina Cabezi, and I'm here with KidNet, and I just wanted to invite you guys to our 26th Day of Summer Learning on July 16 at Bronson Park. I think this is a really important day to celebrate all the work that's being done around summer learning. As being one of those youth who did participate in summer learning, it's really important to me, and I encourage everyone to show up and show out. Thank you.
I just want to once again thank the team that came down here for the proclamation. As a special reward, you don't have to stay for the whole meeting if you don't want to, but I appreciate you being here. Next on our, there, you are excused. Next is the adoption of the formal agenda. Commissioners, are there any items on the consent agenda, G, which you would like to move to the regular agenda? All right, seeing none, Commissioners, the agenda stands. Next, communications. Anything, Manager
No,
Hankins?
not at this time, Mayor.
All right. Now we are to the time on our agenda for public comments. This is your opportunity to comment on any item that is important to you, and you want to make sure the Commission and those watching can hear what your opinion is on any topic. If you want to make a public comment, please come forward. You'll have 4 minutes. Please state your name and whether you live in the city.
How you doing? My name is Ernest Gathing, Jr. I probably won't need the whole 4 minutes here. I ain't got too much to say here. Just questions about the Sunday Fun Day situation here. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Ernest Gathing. I'm here to ask for transparency and accountability regarding what happened at Spring Valley Park during Sunday Fun Day on June 28th. The dispatch records show that the incidents began as noise complaint. When the first officer responded, he documented that he did not hear loud music. Disputing that, the situation escalated to a large police operation involving numerous officers, crowd management, license plate collection, and the use of lard. Call report CFS 846-1 as well as CF 940. Since then, community leaders, park recreations as NWACP, clergy, and KDP has met and discussed what happened. According to who attended, everybody agreed that there needed to be improvement and this does not need to happen again. As a member of the community, I believe this incident should be reviewed through the lens of the Constitution. Every person deserves equal protection under the law, due process, and police fair, even-handed, and worthy of public trust. My question is simple. Who made the decision to escalate the response? Was it based on a verified fact? Or did it just grow beyond the original complaint justification? I respectfully ask the city and KBS to release the complete dispatch records, dispatch audio, radio, communications, and any other actions reviewed, so the public can understand exactly what happened. Accountability builds trust, transparency builds confidence. Our community deserves both. And thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, my name is Matt Griffith. I've lived in the city for 15 years, and I'm here with the Get the Flock Out of Kalamazoo campaign. So I'm here to ask the City Council to provide more transparency around the cameras. I would like for them to release the contract between Flock and the city to say what the current terms and conditions that have been agreed to release logs of the searches that are being conducted, and to show proof of which police organizations the city/Flock have allowed access to this data. And the reason I think this is important, I'll provide a little example. Let's say that you recently put a bumper sticker on your car for a pro-democratic candidates, and then you learn that Flock categorizes these bumper stickers and decals along with your license plate numbers. You might be worried with the current administration that this might make you a target. So if you tried to find information on this, of who controls this data, you might find the Flock camera FAQ on the KDPS's website. And here's a relevant section from it, quote, question, who controls the ALPR data? KDPS retains 100% control of the ALPR data. The data is shared only with approved law enforcement partners in Southwest Michigan. It is not shared on the nationwide search platform, is not shared with ICE or any other federal agencies. Any other request for this data access must be individually reviewed by KDPS command staff, end quotes. So here you would think like, oh, there's no issues. But if we look at other contracts that have been released by other cities, such as the one that was released by Bay City, Michigan on November 17th, we see that the contract is only about 5 pages, and in one of the sections, the last page says, by signing it, you agree to the terms and conditions on Flock's website. So if we look at that for, that was last updated February 16th, it says this about customer data. Quote, customer data as between Flock and the customer, all rights, titles, entrance in and to customer data belongs to and is retained by the customer. The customer hereby grants Flock a limited, non-exclusive, royalty-free, irrevocable, perpetual worldwide license to A, use and disclose customer data, to provide customer data will be available for authorized end users to access and download via the web interface during the applicable retention period. For clarity, Flock retains the exclusive right to determine and control the method, timing, format, and medium of such access or delivery. And it is not obligated to provide customer data in any other alternative form, format, or transmission method outside of the web interface. To the extent any customer data constitutes personal information, Flock will process it in accordance with data laws and applicable laws and privacy policy set forth, and they give the URL. So here you can see that KDPS is leaving out something very crucial, that yes, technically the city owns this data. But they forget to mention the fact that actually Flock controls how the city can access it, and that Flock has this very broad license. And in this, it doesn't say that they could not use this data and sell it to law enforcement, something that changed with this February update to the terms and conditions on their website, which it used to say they could not.
Thank you. Next, please.
My name is Trevor. I've lived in Kalamazoo County since I was 11. I speak today on behalf of the Get the Flock Out of Kalamazoo campaign of Southwest Michigan DSA. As disorientingly rapid as AI surveillance technology is evolving, so with it is the hostile posturing the Flock Safety Company now assumes with relation to its clients in its relentless pursuit of new revenue streams and profit. Back in December of 2025, H.C. Van Pelt of Have I Been Flocked published a report laying out the details of a disturbing set of changes Flock had made to its terms and conditions wherein this hostility is expressed. The terms and conditions are no longer published and shared in a file with the client. Instead, they are maintained by the company on its website to be updated at its caprice. With any new order filing, even for routine maintenance, likely comes attached the expectation that the customer accepts its newest terms and conditions, that they supersede and cancel all previous or contemporaneous agreements. This is crucial when we consider, for example, code which previously guaranteed that Flock, quote, does not own and shall not sell customer data. This language has been deleted. Added in February under the same section is a clause wherein customer grants to Flock worldwide license to use customer data to support and improve Flock's products and services. What this entails is not elaborated on in the current version, but if we rewind to October, it reads, to use and distribute data to improve and enhance services, crime prevention efforts, and to disclose the agency data to enable law enforcement monitoring against law enforcement hot lists, as well as provide footage search access to law enforcement for investigative purposes. Additionally, Flock defined customer data only as that information digitally altered if Flock so chooses, which Flock makes accessible to customer via its web interface, as distinguished from the raw still images, video, and audio, which were categorized as footage under the classification of Flock property. In simpler terms, you own whatever slop we decide to share with you while we retain ownership of your footage and have the right to share it with outside agencies so long as its purposes are investigative. It does not seem an unreasonable interpretation of this contractual zigzagging as Flock showing its hand before arriving at terms more arbitrary, which ultimately serve its purposes just as well as that which was more opaque. There have now been over 50 documented cases of agencies who've suspended and or canceled their contracts with Flock, usually after discovering through auditing that the company had toggled on the department's national lookup tool. It is the carefully curated language in their terms and conditions which have emboldened, Is it the carefully curated language in their terms and conditions which have emboldened them to act in this rogue fashion? We can only speculate. But suffice to say, in spite of Flock's reassuring sales pitches stressing local autonomy, the exact promises KDPS makes on its FAQ page with regards to Flock are hardly unique and consistently prove themselves unreliable, with an increasing number of mayors and police chiefs around the country having been forced to make public comments acknowledging so. As long as Flock Safety can wash its hands clean of all harm derived from its unregulated practices through its PR-friendly press releases while shifting as much liability as it can get away with to its clients, they are unbothered. Last year, it was discovered and made public by a resident that KDPS had neglected to switch its national lookup tool off from its default setting and that its data had been accessible for immigration officers. Why wait around until it's discovered this function has inexplicably been turned back on, or that Flock at last discovered the legal avenue it needed in order to sell client data risk-free? The lesson is clear. In the free market, Flock is rewarded for misleading to whatever extent law permits, so they do. Don't let Flock make a liar out of you. The public demands full transparency. Make the current contract freely available and work so that henceforth all future contracts with Flock must go through a City Commission vote before adoption. Anything short of this, given the political environment and its stakes, hitherto allowed is to make a laughing stock of democracy. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening. I'm a resident of Kalamazoo County, and I am concerned about the city's contract with Flock, as the contract is not publicly available. There's radical changes happening to our institutions driven by novel technologies like this, which are creating a serious problem. How do we remain informed about the workings of our government if the details and designs of new technology remain obscure and esoteric? There's been conversations with members of the community here in Kalamazoo and wider Michigan community. And if I could sum it up in one word, it would be fearful. Fearful of the great amount of power that now exists to intrude in every aspect of our private lives. This fear has serious negative effects. This should be a part of any discussion of new technology, so I just ask, please don't dismiss the concerns of the people whose lives are being affected by this. Any technology that we're developing with such impact on our lives should be developed with the community. We should be involved in the design and implementation of said technology. It should be kept within the firm grasp of the public. This technology, by Flock Safety, is proprietary and licenses our data to the company in perpetuity and irrevocably. Data is then used to the profit of Flock Safety. Our lives are now de facto property of the company. We have been told that if we want to see the contract by the city, we will need a Freedom of Information Act request. This is an additional burden on the public. We must spend significant resources of our time in order to learn information that should be public in the first place. So my request in short is please don't make the government a willing henchman in the increasing intrusion into and commodification of our private lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good day. I'm having a problem with Steinagles. My apartment is infested with mice. I've killed over 30 mice, and nobody's doing nothing about it. The city of Kalamazoo should inspect all of Steinagles properties. Half of them are falling apart. I'm having problems with Scott. I'm not good at public speaking. But they discriminate against people too. When you move, they make up damages that are not that haven't happened and try to charge people with it. Then they try to steal your own deposit. They discriminate against a lot of people. They need to be investigated. Oh. That's all. Plus, I want to give you this.
Thank you. Next, please. Thanks, Mike. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Tina. I live on Lake Street. I live in that lovely floodplain area, the south side of town. See, I live in the neighborhood where your city storm drains flood out the streets and back up your city storm sewers in the streets of Kalamazoo, only on one side of town. Come on, guys, it's been 8 years I've been coming here speaking of the flooding issues, and all I keep asking for is dry streets for all the neighborhoods. Oh, but wait, it's only my neighborhood that floods all the time, the south side of town, not a wealthy neighborhood. So you're always wanting to build in my neighborhood. You have been trying to destroy my last natural green space, Lake to Stockbridge to John, ever since December 18th of 2017. I'm still waiting for the flooding issues to be addressed. All we get is that we don't have that kind of money, but you always seem to have the money to mess up the streets, street lights to make one ways, two ways, all over town. Well, downtown in the rich man's playground, only. But at least you got an arena that no one wanted. You got bike lanes and bike lights, no bikes in them. Good job of ignoring the public in certain areas. You can't seem to have the money to tear down all these burn up, falling down houses, condemned buildings when you build, and then you also build on a contaminated land. You just put dirt on top and build anyway. How many years have these homes been sitting empty? Dangerous to society, dangerous for children. They can go in and play. What if that building collapses and crushes a child and hurts a child? The one on Cedar and Westnich has been sitting there for 2 years. It's been falling apart. But yet you have the money to make Park and Westnich a two-way, to put bike lanes in. How many people will die from you putting bike lanes in the street to calm the traffic? A few have gotten hurt. Some have gotten killed. I'm sorry, I value my life too much to ride a bike in the streets of Kalamazoo. It's all wasted money. You only follow the money train. The developers is all you seem to care about. The destruction of more natural spaces, trees, climate change is real, guys. Wildfires, storms, heat waves did not come alone. They all come with climate change. All these are warnings that flooding will be worse. It will get hotter. The more trees you let your developers destroy, the hotter it gets. The more trees your calming traffic destroys, the hotter it gets. The more traffic gets backed up for blocks. Your road diets are a joke. Crime is out of control. Shootings are out of control. Speeding and running red lights are out of control. Flooding is out of control on the south side of town only. All we want is dry streets. Pollution is out of control. Homeless is happening more and more because the rent prices are too damn high. But all you seem to care about is your rich man's playground downtown. For we don't have many natural spaces left. Our wildlife is running out of homes. You destroy trees, but yet they are animals' homes. Kalamazoo is becoming a mess. Bring back public call-ins at city commission meetings so every resident in Kalamazoo can have a chance to speak and address their concerns. I don't care if it makes the meeting longer. If you really want to hear from the public, you would bring back public call-ins. The 4th of July, you had 8 fires in Kalamazoo. 8 fires. 2 dumpster fires, 1 garage fire, and 4 people's homes caught on fire because you let people shoot off fireworks anywhere they want. In my neighborhood, they shoot them off at Upjohn Park, and they shoot them off over into the grass. They've set it on fire many times. They've set dumpsters on fire many times. This time they shot them off at the railroad tracks by the farmers.
Thank you. Next, please.
My name is Antoine Nix. I've been a resident here my whole life, 42 years old. I raised my children here. I built my business here. And all of those things you wouldn't know if you didn't ask me. But the one thing that you would know before asking me anything is I'm a black man. I find it disheartening in my community that sometimes the police and other people can't discern a group of people enjoying a calm, peaceful Sunday and look at that and see what the same thing they see at Shell gas station at 3 a.m. The problem here is when we talk about community policing, you really should be from the community that you're policing. Because if you are, you would understand culture. Culture isn't just what we wear, how we walk, and the things that are extracted from us. It's the things that we do when we're together. So when you pull up to a public park and you see 200 people of color enjoying a Sunday, that should never result in the same thing that you say when you see 200 21-year-olds at Shell gas station at 3 in the morning. I find it disheartening that we don't really know how you utilize the mobile nuisance. I think it's crazy that you could pull up to my grandmother's home who just passed away and we're having a repast at her property that she owns, and you can come and tell us that we are now part of a mobile nuisance, that you could physically go take my license plate down and you could potentially seize my vehicle. I'm not really here to talk about the park because it never was about the park. It's always about what you see when you see people like me. Because again, you don't know I'm a business owner here. You don't know I'm a father. You don't know anything. But you know that I'm black. And that when there's 200 of us, that is looked at as dangerous. And to me, that's dangerous. Because you don't understand what you're looking at. I really have a hard time wrapping my mind around how you show up somewhere and you can't discern the difference. So understanding as a black man that no matter how, if I'm right or wrong, any police contact can result in me being harmed, even if I'm 100% right. So sometimes we're put in a messed up spot. I will say the chief invited us down there to talk. He invited us down there to get a side of the story that I might not have heard before. But it's still, we have to get back to, again, community policing and you guys defining when and where mobile nuisance can be enacted and used, because you're using broad ordinances to deem things that should not be deemed as a mobile nuisance party because you don't understand my culture, because you don't want to. So it's ignorant to say, hey, this can be deemed here as a mobile nuisance, this isn't, whatever. I've drove downtown and I can hear the music for bells at my property all the way on the south side. But the police were called to a peaceful Sunday with the average age is 45 years old. You're either over the age of 40 or you're under the age of 10. The picture everybody keeps displaying of the police officer holding the tear gas, I explained to the chief, look behind him, there's 7 kids looking at him. I don't care what they think about me, what they think about them.
Thank you. Next.
For the opportunities to speak today, to highlight the measurable life-saving progress we are making here in Kalamazoo through public safety health approach to public safety, and why sustained collective investment is the only way to protect this. My name is Dominica Sims, and I stand before you not only a national specialist for community violence, but also executive director of Dominica's Promise, a deeply committed resident of Kalamazoo. Through our grassroots initiatives, including SLAP, the reentry program, GLOW, our youth mentoring, and other community initiatives, I look into the faces of the people behind our safety statistics every single day. As a specialist in the field, I can tell you with absolute certainty that the communities making real lasting progress are the ones like ours that have stopped treating violence as a pure, merely criminal justice issue and are actively treating it as a public health epidemic. Too often conversations about public safety fixate on short-term, weekly fluctuations, but violence is complex and long-term, and a long-term trend, that tells a true story. Because we have embraced the public health framework over the past 5 years, our community in Kalamazoo have achieved approximately 25% reduction in firearm assaults. This progress did not happen overnight and through law enforcement alone. It happens because we did the work in building a deeply interconnected three-way ecosystem right here in our own neighborhoods. The community, our GVI and CVI specialists, and our public safety partners. On one of the foundational truths I emphasize is that we cannot arrest our way out of gun violence. Traditional law enforcement is necessary for tools of accountability, but cannot heal trauma, and it cannot protect the trigger from being put in the first place. Lasting safety requires an ecosystem where prevention, intervention, and enforcement work hand in hand. We may not all have the answers to reducing violence, but what we do know is that one absolute certain is that working together in a single most important is a single most important answer that we do have. I want to publicly thank public safety for their commitment to this approach. It takes true leadership to step outside the traditional box of and partnership so deeply with the community-based organizations, because of this partnership, we are not only reacting to crime, but we are also building a community and saving lives. By addressing issues and concerns like the Spring Valley incident, which was handled within 48 hours of law enforcement, community leaders, and community members, we are working towards strategies. Through this street-level intervention strategies, the intention mediations we have been able to stop level of violence that no data can fully capture. I'm trying to skip through because I only got so much time, but this simple number cannot account for the tragedies that did not happen or the shots that was not fired. But we must recognize that we do not stand alone. We stand on the shoulders and the community icons, leaders, etc., who came before us and have believed in this work. But let's be clear, CBI does not replace public safety, it complements it. While our interventions are the most ground-shifting behaviors, mentorship, and other cooling down conflicts, public safety officers are doing vital work to take dangerous weapons off the street. This leads us to one question: how do we sustain this work? The public safety approach is not an abstract theory. It's working right here in Kalamazoo. It's strengthening trust, reducing violence, creating safer neighborhoods, and saving lives. As we look ahead, I urge us all to champion this collaborative model. Let's move past short-term fixes and prioritize permanent, sustainable investment. The relationships we have are great. My time is up, but thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
My name is Jeffrey Fry, resident of Kalamazoo. I was here last week. I want to thank the City Commission for listening to me about cutting the lights off next to one of the houses. But as we know, we expect fairness and for everybody. So it was only cut off in one location. The public is not good at speaking. So it looked like unfair just because they're not able to come up here and speak. So I would like that to be looked into, because a lot of the things that's happening in our community, a lot y'all might not know about. You have to come to the community to actually know about what's going on in the community. Just like these nuisances. Everybody is considered a nuisance if you're black. All the parties that's being considered a party is just a gathering of family members. Family members really don't have nowhere to go. But typically the north side don't go to other sides of towns. So where else do they go? They're gonna stand outside in the street, but they're also labeled as a nuisance. So that's a targeting. We consider that targeting a branch of people. And that's not right, because you have to come to the community to really understand, because they do listen. You can tell a person to move out that driveway, that lady don't want you in that driveway. They're gonna be respectfully moved. So what's considered a nuisance? That's what we wanna know. Only thing we know is that people in the community is being targeted. Anytime they come outside, they nervous or scared in a sense because of the way the police is coming. And the last 3 weeks, I don't feel like it been necessary. Because certain officers, when they come to a certain scene, I believe they're supposed to be properly trained. It's not to escalate a situation, it's to de-escalate. And a lot of times when they come, the way that they come, they already have a gun. They already have tasers. They already is competent. We're dealing with people that may have been drinking that night. So we also have to understand how they may be. But if you train, that's how you're coming. You're never supposed to deal with a situation, one officer, and it's 20 people. You're supposed to call for backup. You don't handle it and then call for backup later. These are things that will escalate. And we're trying to de-escalate these things in our community. So if you're able to come speak with ones in our community, you will find out that this is not a nuisance. The other day, a grandmother, she got 50 kids doing fireworks. It's gonna look like that, but them is her grandchildren. She got 50 of them. If they're all in one area, it doesn't make them a nuisance. So they're being targeted now. Black people are being targeted. At some point, who do we go to? We're tired of writing, well, he racist, or he did this, he did a complaint. People in the community is being affected, and things is not being responded well. Like these cameras, sitting on city property, still next to houses. But where at is they at? How many do they have? How long are they gonna be there? These are things that the community wanna know. How long can they be monitored? How long do they put a camera on the city property next to their bathroom windows and say, oh, we're just gonna keep it here for as long as we want to? No, tell the community something. Can they tap into them? Can they see what they watching? They need to know something. They can tap into every camera that's on their houses. They can put a drone over there. What's the purpose? It's no reasoning. They just put it there and don't give the community no answers. They at least, I want to answer if I got a camera next to my house. So I understand them. So if some way, somehow, just talking is not an answer, let's get it in paper. Send it to them in the mail. Let's find out.
Thank you. Next, please.
I'm Kay. So I've been hearing all the polemic about the Spring Valley enforcement, and I was downtown this whole last week handing out cold waters. I ended up in a intervention situation where KDPS was very triggering to this person who was having a mental health episode. They had just gotten out of the hospital. Were passing out in the street, and they definitely did not want KDPS there. And even though KDPS showed up very friendly, they showed up cooperative, that was not enough. There really needs to be a conversation, a deeper conversation with those people who are more critical of police. I know a lot of people in the community have working relationships with KDPS, and KDPS communicates with them and their stakeholders in the community, but that does not reflect in the larger community. And I'm not saying this as a cop hater or as a person who, I do distrust the cops. I'm saying this because I've read, and I keep bringing up the OIR report. The report that was done back in 2020 when KDPS pepper sprayed peaceful protesters and when they seemingly sided with the Proud Boys, right? And that report did speak about the fraud, the broken relationship between Black and brown communities and the police. And it's only heightened, right? As we're hearing right now, like it's not the reality for the rest of the community to just have a conversation when people are being targeted, when there's an ordinance that doesn't have any real concrete language to it, and it gets interpreted by cops who already come hostile, who already come thinking that they're racist. They think that Black and brown people were dangerous. They think that we're always causing trouble, and that is how they come. And that is, of course, educating them, but also being honest about the culture within KDPS, being honest about the broken relationships, how much worse it's gotten because communities continue to be disenfranchised. This government is pulling resources from communities. We see the city prioritizing downtown as the hub for more modern buildings and this bougie hotel and an arena that is not going to pay enough, and we don't see communities being impacted. The housing crisis, they came here and gave a presentation about the ALICE statistics, right? The community who is working but living paycheck to paycheck, and nothing was really done about that. Nothing was really done about the OIR report, and you guys can say you fulfilled the recommendations, but the larger conversation about that was the distrust within not only city government, but the police. And we cannot rely on surveillance to be the answer for crime reduction, right? Because communities need more than that. They need housing, they need a stability, they need resources that have generationally not been given to them. This is not about wanting a handout, as some people are saying on Facebook, or playing the victim. This is about realities. These are statistics that have come here before you, telling you that this is an issue for a long time, and now we see it come to head in these examples, and I see it downtown. I encourage people to just go downtown and see for yourselves what exactly is going on, because the situation is bigger than just a conversation with KDPS. It's bigger than just sitting down and saying that this is fixable, because it's not. It's not fixable. The police is racist. They have a rotten culture, and that was put in the report, and y'all need to make sense of that so that you don't gaslight the community who is coming and telling you that there's a serious policing problem, and that depending on flock cameras and depending on surveillance is not going to be enough. It's not going to cut it, right? Because I said before, intimate partner violence is up 200% in the community. So we really have to get to the level and the depth of how this is impacting the community without gaslighting, because you have people in the community who trust you.
Thank you. Next, please. Is there anyone else that want to take advantage of the public comment period? Yes.
Hello. I'd like to first of all endorse my cousin Joseph Harris and my little sister Alina for city commissioners. Okay, thank you. I recently just looking at the news, and they have the cop police at the Spring Valley Park, and they have the nerve, the audacity. You guys have the audacity to pull out an ordinance that says that we are, or the people at Spring Valley Park, they are disrupting the quality of life. You know what that sounds like? That sounds like pests. That sounds like bed bugs. That sounds like roaches. Disrupting the quality of life? How were they disrupting the quality of life, just gathering together, showing off their cars, barbecuing, playing music? You guys need to change that ordinance. First of all, none of you guys are from Kalamazoo, so you guys don't understand Kalamazoo, period. And I lean on that. Oh, there you are. We were talking about how Kalamazoo used to be a fun place. We used to have plenty of woods. We used to have animals to watch deers and raccoons and possums and everything. We had places to go. Star World. Joe, you know the clubs we went to? We had so many clubs and places to go to. That's why we have the X train. They're not causing any harm. They just need some place to go and just congregate and dance maybe. You know, you guys don't understand us. We like to congregate, have fun. We ain't causing no trouble. You guys know that. But you know what the thing is? The fact that you guys have to, like what my man said, you guys got to target somebody. And like I said, you guys are not from Kalamazoo. None of you guys are from Kalamazoo. So we already, all old Kalamazooans know how Kalamazoo used to be. You guys put up a useless bike lane. I have not seen one person on the bike lane at all, okay? And then you guys want to have the audacity of change to West Michigan two-way street? Man, that doesn't make sense. You guys got money just wasting it. Kalamazoo is good the way it is. Been like that for a long time. It's comfortable. We don't need to uproot anything, the business or anything. Two-way street would not make any sense at all. And another thing is, too, it is basically satanic that the fact that you guys have the nerve to turn off the fire hydrants at Patwood when the children are playing in the water when it's 98 degrees. Who does that, man? Who does that? You mean to tell me that it was too hot to have the hydrants on and you had to turn them off? Okay, unless you guys are gonna put a pool somewhere, then the hydrant should be on when it's hot, when it's over 90 degrees. Not 90 degrees, when it's get hot. Okay? Unless you guys I say we put a wading pool in the Proclamation Park. Okay? It'd be cool to have a wading pool in the Proclamation Park, and then it'd be an ice skating rink in the wintertime. We need recreation. That's what the children need nowadays, recreation. And all this drones and all this stuff you guys putting up, that's a form of Nazism, man. That's how Nazism started. All started with someone just monitoring one set of people, then you get a whole bunch of people agreeing with it. Then you got the law enforcement enforcing the laws. I'll tell you what, man, you guys better be careful, man, because a lot of people ain't gonna be taking that for a long time, okay? We don't have it up to here, man. 400 years of this, no, man. You gotta change that for real, because something's gonna happen, man, for real. Because you guys know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You guys haven't been out there examining or even exploring different areas of Kalamazoo. You guys come here, congregate, make your decisions, and then go back to your own little comfortable homes. But you guys not going out experiencing a different side of town and meeting people and seeing how people live and how they enjoy themselves or how they relax or how recreational. Okay, first of all, I think it's useless to have an auditorium downtown when Wayne Stadium was there available. Okay, that's ridiculous. You're gonna turn Kalamazoo to a metropolis. We don't want that, especially for old Kalamazoo like us. We don't want that. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Your time is up.
Yeah, I've still got some stuff to say. But anyways, now, I'm letting you guys know that you guys need to look out for it. If you're going to represent the Kalamazoo citizens, you guys better do a little better job than just be more considering, more compassionate. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
I don't know what to say, but other than my name is Alex Gray. I live at the Lakeview Apartments. That's right behind Spring Valley. And quite frankly, after I saw last week the whole image, all I could think of, even though I'm a white guy, I could just see my family in that because my wife is black. I have friends that are black, and all I could think of seeing that was just the disgusting racist attitude. If this city really is truly committed to change, you would get rid of the flock cameras, because that's what I wanted to speak about originally, but the flock cameras do come into that play. We have flock cameras on our apartment complex. That ain't helping all the thieves that come by and breaking our damn windows. And I know the kids that are doing it, yeah, they have some stupid decisions, but they ain't got nowhere else to go. They don't got a playground. And then you want to blame the parents. The parents are too busy working through 2-3 jobs to even care. It's disgusting. If you guys want to do better, how about you train the cops and start firing the racist cops too? Do that, stand on business, because if you don't, there is always an election coming up, and the will of the people is a lot stronger than whatever you guys have to say. Whatever racist cop has to come and terrorize, we always come back, black or white. Do better. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you. Next, please.
I'm a lifelong resident of Kalamazoo. I can see all this from 2013 when Jeff Hadley wanted to meet with the community at Mount Zion Baptist Church. They were doing a racial profiling study. And he talked to the whole community. I hear violence, I see violence. It's not a nuisance. Our children are not a nuisance. I just think that us talking from down here, talking to you guys up there, and the chief is back there, is not going to resolve any issues. I think we need to take it outside of here. I think y'all need to call a town hall. I think a lot of people want to be heard, and I don't think they're being heard here. I was here about the fly cameras. I've never seen so much violence than the episodes of people being labeled nuisances and men being pulled by the hair and police showing up with just large things of tear gas. I've been here my entire life. I've never seen anything like this before, and I'm disgusted. I'm just absolutely disgusted. And nobody hears the people. Nobody hears the people that it affects the most. You know, you come week after week, you talk about the same thing, the flock cameras. It didn't start out as a nuisance party. I probably was the first one to put nails on my ground to keep the X-train away. I simply wanted to go home. But you don't have anywhere for the young people to go. They have to dance in the streets. My grandchildren dance in the streets because they don't have a bar. They can't go in any place and have a drink like a normal person. Nowhere on the north side of Kalamazoo can they go. So where do you expect them to go? And now they're labeled a nuisance. I mean, I looked up nuisance. It said it's the tall grass. It's a blighted house. You know, too many dogs over there or something. That's a nuisance, not people. We gotta do better. You know, you created this nuisance party ordinance, we can tear it down. You know, because it's about us as people. It ain't about no ordinance. Those people got out of their cars. They don't have $500. These mothers are going crazy. They're going to their jobs. They're taking their cars. They have children to feed. And we can't do better. I done marched plenty of times in them streets. These gun violence groups, I don't see them stopping. I don't see no data. I see absolutely nothing. I hear a lot of words. You know, I'm actually out there. I'm boots on the ground, always have been. You know, I just know that we got to come out of here. We need to hear from the people. We need some solutions. All I see is violence. I see pain. I see anger. And it's not getting better. Nothing is getting better. Nobody died this holiday weekend. Nobody died. That was truly a blessing. Nobody, except for the domestic violence, and I feel for that young lady, nobody died. Nobody died last weekend, as far as I can see. I'm out here on a regular. I talk to people. They don't want to come and talk to you guys. Y'all need to go out there and talk to them. We need to find a different way to communicate, because I just feel like that's all it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Gwendolyn Hooker. I am here as myself. I'm a Northside resident, lifelong resident of Kalamazoo. And we're not I'm not here to talk about all of the great things about Kalamazoo. I love my hometown. I'm not here to give people slaps on the back because we know that everybody does good sometimes, everybody does bad sometimes. And I'm the person that tries to hold everybody accountable, just like I'm held accountable when I make mistakes. So, I wanted to talk about accountability, trust, and responsibility. Kalamazoo County is supposed to be a trauma-informed county, and it is important to recognize and acknowledge that there were hundreds of seniors, youth, men, and women that were at the park on June 28th, myself and my grandchildren included. I'm extremely concerned about the long-term effects that the actions and behaviors displayed on June 28th will undoubtedly have. Of course, I was in one part of the park, but when I started seeing the footage, someone said it, the way that, Kalamazoo Public Safety showed up with bear mace and threats and, running footage, taking pictures of people's police license plates without actually having a conversation and communicating to the people that were there what was going on was so disrespectful, unprofessional, and inconsiderate. I am aware that there was a meeting last week with some concerned citizens and advocates, and I believe that is a great first step. However, considering the large amount of tax-paying citizens, children, families, and seniors that were there that day, I do believe that further positive steps are warranted and necessary. I believe a public disrespect of that magnitude requires an equally public apology. A statement and what next steps could be. I believe that someone else said it best, a conversation, bringing the commission coming out to the community. I know many of you guys do come out, but I think that coming out and actually being out are two different things. Being involved in the community, talking to people, having conversations. This is a big deal. It's one that got a lot of publicity. However, these kinds of things are happening all over Kalamazoo every single day. The same week that we were talking about Spring Valley, public safety showed up and turned off a fire hydrant. The same day the same week that happened, somebody showed up, public safety showed up and disrupted a whole family repast. Like, these are things that are escalating, and they seem to always be where black and brown people are. I don't think that's just a coincidence. I think there's a culture that needs to be addressed. There's been public records and accountability and reports and all of those things that the taxpayers have paid for, and they've gotten these reports and nothing actually was done in response to them. And I think that it's time to do something in direct response to the reports that we paid for. I also believe that the commission needs to take a hard, strong look at the nuisance ordinance that was voted on unanimously. I think that we need to do something that ensures that there's not any discretionary powers that can happen when people are looking at this ordinance. And public safety doesn't have the latitude to interpret what that ordinance means based on any given situation. It's too discretionary. It doesn't actually, it's a blanket ordinance that really could be used anywhere at any given time based on whatever circumstances that public safety deems necessary. And I think that that's a bad situation. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Next, please.
Known to the city of Kalamazoo. I am a third-generation Kalamazoo citizen. My father helped build the city of Kalamazoo. He built Bronson, I-94, he built Western Michigan University, so I feel rooted in the city of Kalamazoo. That's why I ran for mayor when I did. I ran for mayor for the city of Kalamazoo because I understood the citizens of Kalamazoo, and I remember a time before 2006 when we didn't have crime, when people could leave their doors unlocked, their homes unlocked, their cars unlocked, because we were safe. See, I would speak to the commissioner board, but I don't believe y'all listen to us anyways. So I'm gonna speak to the people of Kalamazoo because I believe we're the ones who need to be heard in this situation. So what I see is a lot of open positions that are becoming available, and the only way we really gonna make some changes is when we change the seats, because unless we do it ourselves, they don't understand us. People came to Kalamazoo because of the culture of Kalamazoo. The people come to Kalamazoo and change the culture of Kalamazoo. I read something about how friendly Kalamazoo is to a community. But then I looked at another community, they talked about the poverty, economic despair, and I'm like, well, how is that a difference? I thought we was friendly, Kalamazoo, but we're not friendly to the people who have trust fund money, who never earned their money the hard way. We got people who work daily to try to make things happen, and yet you disrespect the community and the culture of people. We are loving people. Kalamazoo was about love, fun, and opportunities. When people came, we grew up, we had nightclubs, we had roller worlds, we had bowling alleys, like we had the real Boys and Girls Club, we had parks, kids go outside and play baseball, kickball, we had activities. People don't think about kids, they got short-sighted mentalities nowadays. Everybody's short-sighted with it, where we want the money right now, but we're not thinking about the second and third generation, about the things that we're doing in this city. We only make sure that the people who are, we want new city commissioner, and we want new city people. We want to bring outside people in and get rid of our locals, but we've been here. We're the ones that made Kalamazoo what people come to Kalamazoo say, that's really a Kalamazoo? There's a reason why people say that, because they love our culture, they love the people, they love our relationships, they love how we get down. We had one time with Mayor Jones, God rest his soul, he's not related to me, we didn't have this type of crime. We didn't have this type of these type of activities. We had integrity, we had morals, we had value, we had self-respect, we had dignity. It wasn't for sale. Apparently you can buy the park at the Arcadia for $3.6 million. I didn't know the park was for sale, Kalamazoo, but apparently the park is for sale if you got the right amount of money. They said the Pride community was able to buy the park, but what about the rest of us? The black community, we went way out to Spring Valley to mind their own business, to get out the way, and then they came with harsh, brutal force towards our community people. We go and get out the way because there's nothing else for us to do around here. Our kids have nothing to do, our adults have nothing to do. If you have downtown has nothing for us down there. There's no representation of 12 black clubs, and I'm not saying brown because they have their own thing. Black people don't have anything downtown Kalamazoo. We might have 2 or 3 things that we can do, and when you have that 2 or 3, that's gonna cause chaos. When you got 20 or 30 different things, people can decide, do you wanna go to the pool hall, the bowling alley, you wanna go somewhere else? You want to go to Club Nouveau, or you want to go to one of the other spots? Because that's what we could do back then. Now there's nothing and no one cares. So until we start applying to some of these boards, running for mayor again, running for these commissions, running for chiefs, running for all the other political positions that are available, we're going to keep having these things. We have to own this. Even though we might not want to take these jobs, we're going to have to. You know, Kalamazoo, we're going to have to take the jobs because people won't do it for us. It's our responsibility to get the culture of Kalamazoo to be back the way the culture of Kalamazoo used to be, where we had respect and dignity, and it wasn't for sale because of trust fund money.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello. My name is Kenneth Maven, and I'm a resident of this area. And as I was sitting back here and I was watching the body language from all of you, Hawkins, you too, and I saw that it feels like, I can't accuse you of anything, but people are being gaslighted. You go and sit here and you reach down and you write your little notes and you sit there with your hand on your thing. You're not listening to these people. You're not listening at all. All of you are doing the same thing. Because what I saw on TV with those police officers, you know what that means? That means that when they left the precinct, they said, hey, we're going to the park. Let's get our pepper spray out. Let's get our riot gear out. And let's walk in there with loudspeakers and dismantle all these citizens up here. But I guarantee you, all of you, one thing, that when that arena is built and a good hockey game goes on and people walk out the hockey arena over here that you're building and they're running down the street screaming and yelling, I guarantee you the police officers won't be met. They won't be met with all kind of pepper sprays in their back pocket with loud horns and everything else. You know what? Because as I sit here, I don't really want to waste my time, and I apologize to all these people out here because the body language that all of you are showing, what has happened and what's going on, you don't care. We're being gaslighted. You guys are sitting there. City manager, mayor, city attorney, all of you guys are sitting there and just listening and going through the motion and thinking that we're sitting out here just, just going off. And that is what you guys are doing. But until something happens, then you want to address it. I want want you to, I'm asking city manager, how do you feel as a man, as a black man, when there's kids out there in the park, and there's people out there in the park are sitting out there, and the police show up with bullhorns, and they show up with bullhorns, and they show up with pepper sprays in their back pocket and stuff. That means that when they decided to leave the precinct and get in the cars to go to the park, they put all that apparatus on to go talk to people, to tell them to dismantle. How do you feel about that, Mayor Hawkins? Can you answer that? Or you just want to sit there stone-faced because you're getting your $200,000 salary? I got a minute left. You want to address that, Mayor, City Manager? Oh, no, you want to sit up there with a stone face. Okay, how about you, Mayor? How do you feel about that?
You know, this is not a time for dialogue.
Oh,
this is time for you to express your feelings.
Yeah. Don't tell me about dialogue. These people are in pain. Mayor, city manager, you're getting a good salary from our tax dollars, but you want to sit there with a stone face and not say a word. What about the rest of you guys? This is how we feel in our neighborhood, in our city. But I noticed you, city manager, when somebody was talking, you will sit down and you do your little writing and look up. That don't mean anything. Because what do you say? As a black man, what do you say about how people are treated? I got 38 seconds left. Give me your stone face for everybody else. Go ahead. There he goes. How much you make a year? How much we paying you a year for that stone face right there? I got 18 seconds left. You want to say anything? Or you just want to give me that stone face? But I'll tell you guys one thing. I've got 12 seconds left. I'll tell you guys one thing. When that new arena's opened up, and those people, hockey people, when they come out that arena after a game and they're yelling and screaming, I guarantee you, the police won't be met with pepper spray and a loudspeaker.
All done. Thank you.
City manager, thank you for your stone face.
Yes,
you're good.
I'm not going to speak to what happened in Spring Valley Park because I feel that my role in that should be to listen and amplify other people's voices. I do want to speak to something I am good at speaking at, and that's data. We're gathered here tonight to talk about safety because every single person in this room deserves to feel secure on their own street. We all agree on that fundamental premise. But when flock safety cameras were first pitched to the city, we were sold a bill of goods. We were prompted that strict guardrails and transparency. We were looked in the eye and told that this technology would never, under any circumstance, be weaponized by federal agencies against our most vulnerable neighbors. These promises were empty. I know this because when I sought out the truth, the Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety flat out refused to provide the audit logs. They did not want the public to see how this system was actually being used, so I went out and obtained those logs myself. I am the one who reviewed the actual utilization data, and I am the one who prompted the investigation after finding in black and white the use of our cameras to search for a deportation warrant. You don't have to take my word for it. I want you to listen to this report from Wood TV about exactly who was running that search.
The officer did, however, identify one other user with JMR initials in GRPD records. The individual's name was redacted from the email, but not the agency he worked for, which was the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. An ATF spokesman.
An ATF agent, a federal agent searching our cameras, searching Kalamazoo cameras to execute an immigration warrant. But it gets worse. When Kalamazoo's own police chief tried to get to the bottom of this, when he tried to find out exactly who was tapping into this massive web of data, the neighboring police department involved flat out lied to him. And if you think the answer is just to negotiate a better contract to protect ourselves, I urge you to look at the reality of what we actually signed up for. Under their terms and services, we gave a perpetual license to our data for Flock to use as it sees fit. Let that sink in. We handed a private corporation the right to endlessly exploit the daily movements of our residents. And how secure is that data we gave away? CISA, the federal government's own cybersecurity agency, has issued severe vulnerability alerts regarding these very cameras, and we are forcing our citizens into a surveillance net that the federal government is actively warning us is vulnerable to hackers and exploitation. I want us just to pause about this and think about the gravity of that situation. A federal agency tapping into Kalamazoo cameras, police departments lying to each other to cover it up, a private corporation holding a perpetual license to use our data on a network the federal government says is vulnerable, and a citizen having to force issue because the very agencies entrusted with surveillance data refuse to be transparent. The defenders of the system will tell you this is just a loophole. They will call it a clerical oversight, but let me be clear. When mass surveillance network is built to indiscriminately track the movements of every single vehicle, every single day, abuse is not a glitch. It's an inevitability. We are too often told that we must trade our civil liberties for the illusion of security, but when a mother is too afraid to drop her kids off at school because she fears a license plate reader will flag her car for a federal task force, that does not make Kalamazoo safer. It drives people into the shadows, it makes us fractured, and it makes us weak. This is not who we are. Kalamazoo is better than that. The time for tinkering with data policies is past. You cannot put guardrails on a system that is built to spy on everyone, especially when federal agencies are searching our streets, local agencies are lying to our chief, and the corporation running it demands perpetual license to our lives. The trust has been broken. The only path forward, the only way to restore the integrity of our community is to end this contract and take the cameras down. And because I've been accused of saying things online that I won't say to people's faces, Chief Poison, you better unfuck yourself.
Next, please.
My name is Tara Maben. I'm coming up here first to just let you know I was there. I was present on Sunday Fun Day. I want to put it on the record that it was a beautiful day. There was fellowship, there was enjoyment, there were smiling faces, there was nothing but positive energy going on. So when I saw the allegations that followed afterwards, I was surprised. So I know a lot of people are touching on what happened with the police, but I want it to be put on record that it was a beautiful afternoon. Nobody was getting in any trouble. There was no violence. It was what our community needs. But I also want to put on record that once the video footage came out about what happened when the police came out, I was reading a lot of the community comments, and I was so surprised to see how many racists live among us. I saw chimps chimping out. I saw this, I don't like when a bunch of blacks congregate together. I'm always uncomfortable. So what this did was it just caused more division instead of bringing any peace and order. And you got to think about the message that this is sending out to the people who are living in the community, because it definitely sends a message. And it's sending a message that black people are violent. It's sending a message that we need to be policed, we can't be trusted. I also heard on the loudspeaker a code that the police officers were stating that was being violated. When I looked up the code, I believe it was 55-21, I might be getting that wrong. Nothing felt in alignment with that code, which required them to do like an emergency securing of things. Again, myself and my daughter here were present. She's 14 years old. She's never experienced anything like that with the police. So all that did was invoke fear in a time that should have been joyous and beautiful and celebratory. So I think we just really need to think about those things. And I also feel like there is somewhat of an agenda going on. I see a lot of the inner cities where black people are congregating being more heavily policed, more regulated when it comes to the houses, people being pushed out of their homes, a new plan for the city when it comes to the arena and things like that. So I'm not gonna get long-winded into that, but people are noticing, it's having a trickling effect, and that trickling effect is so much greater and so much more damaging than just supporting the positivity. And I think that there does need to be some kind of public statement or something from the police, not just them meeting with a few city officials, but coming out and saying, because the people that were in that meeting stated that the police took accountability. I would like to know what that accountability looks like. I would like for the police to state what they're being accountable for. Don't have it come from the mouths of the people that spoke with you, but come from you directly, because it came directly from you when you wanted to enforce, your codes and your ordinances. So let us hear how things are different directly from you, because we're supposed to be trusting you with our freedom and our protection and our safety. So that's all I'd like to say. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next, please.
Justin Suarez. I live on the north side. Last commission meeting, there was a gentleman talking about the cameras that the police have put up in the neighborhoods with the flashing lights, and I noticed that the lights were turned off for a minute, but when I pass by them now, they're back on some of those cameras. So that's something to be looked at, because that's a nuisance right there from the police department in our neighborhood. You know, flashing lights and just a constant state of surveillance. You know, there's definitely, I've been affected by gun violence since I moved to the north side, actually. My whole family was, back in April. And then we started seeing the police try to clean things up in our neighborhood. I was the one that came up here to tell the community that I noticed they were wearing masks, and they were treating people on the north side differently also. You know, they gave me attitude when I asked them about why are they wearing masks. And so I went on a mission to capture this on camera, because you wouldn't believe it, the way, you know, they were behaving. You know, we saw them with masks without name badges on, so it went worse. You know, I didn't even discuss that last year. And this was all happening on the north side, you know, and I think that what happened in Spring Valley Park, you know, if they had those masks, they would have been wearing those masks. They would have been terrorizing those people. And if it was a bunch of white people in the park, you know that would not have went down the way that it did. We know that. So there's some rot in the KDPS, in the department. There's some rot. I've seen some of the comments from the officers online that I saw a detective make some comments, and then you look at some of their posts, and they've got pro-ICE and all this shit on their, all this stuff on their social media. You know, there's some rot in the department, and this goes back at least a year that I've witnessed myself. You know, they did get rid of the mask policy quickly, which, you know, that was a move in the right direction. But then we have an event like this. You know, the flock cameras, the city wants to meet with and talk to the NAACP and tell them, the police, that you can trust us. You know, we'll have meetings with you. But look at what happened at Spring Valley Park. And if I urge the police, I urge the city to release all the body camera footage from what happened in that park. If you want to, that costs a fortune to get that body camera footage, a fortune. So you guys could release that to the public, and that would help. We could start to look at how some of those officers behaved. And the public, you know, we can see who the good ones are, and you know, what actually happened there. It's all on video. So that's what I would recommend. But there is a rot, and the flock cameras, you know, we're giving them an awful lot of data. We don't even know what they can collect with those cameras. I mean, it's scary, and we're supposed to trust them when they behave like that. So that's all I have to say today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Okay, I apologize for speaking without a mask, and I just wanted to, I hadn't planned speaking. I'm not feeling very eloquent because I've been ill for this last week, but I wanted just to speak because as a Northside resident and someone who isn't a lifelong resident, but is somebody who cares about the community, and I'm raising children, and I am a homeowner, and I do care about this community, and I've been trying as much as I can possibly be a supportive and contributing member. Again, I apologize. I do feel like the thing that I really wanted to say, and I'll speak when I'm healthier at a different time, is I just want everyone to remember that our kids are watching and we're showing them problem-solving skills, and these kids are learning that sometimes we're using bullying behavior instead of being the adults in the room, and we need to be better examples for everybody. I don't think that the X train is completely gone. And the lady that was saying she put nails in her front yard, I do think that that mobile nuisance party ordinance was created to address some of those things, and like people are saying it's being misused in how it's being applied, or at least as it was intended, it's being not used in that way. To that point, I do still see some of the behaviors as far as like, you can see the stream of cars down North Street, and I've never seen bodies hang so far out of a vehicle ever. But it's not as constant as it was. And to the point of the person that said, or a couple of us have said, there isn't a lot for these kids to do. These young adults, these kids, they don't have a skate park. They don't have clubs and places that they can hang out and associate. And I think those things, if we could look at it in a more positive light and give those kids options and things to do, when you look at the whys, that's what's happening, in my humble opinion. And I guess just to speak to that positivity, in the past when I've heard about like the kids that were jumping fences, I'm like, hey Kalamazoo, where's our Olympic team? Let's use these energy, these qualities these kids have. Let's help them be great adults. They're watching us right now. How we problem solve is this next generation. And we've seen the issues that the kids are having with being bullied and the racist, the history. And we are making steps forward, and I do think we should speak to some of that, but I think that we have a lot of work to do.
Thank you. Next, please.
Commission. My name is Kathy Faison. Live in Township. Most of my work predominantly affects the city. I do want to say I was one of the individuals that was able to meet with KDPS. Initially, it was coming up here, kind of giving an update, but one of the things is, when I always say I'm the voice and trying to be the voice that lift other voices in the community, what I heard tonight is they don't want an update from me. They want to hear from KDPS. So I'm going to leave that to KDPS to update community. What I will say and what I will lift up from the meeting is hearing voices say that when it came down to Spring Valley, that's over 40 years that has been happening, where Black people have been gathering. Now, I'm gonna go to Mike. As all of us in community know as Peanut. I'm gonna go to Peanut. Peanut has been promoting, encouraging individuals, our Black community, to gather at Spring Valley. And this is actually going on the 6th year. That being said, there has not been an incident. There has not been a fight. There has not been any guns. There has not been a shooting. This has been a place for our Black community to come together. My sister came here last year. There was 3 generations from me, my children, and my grandchildren out there. This is a place where we all can gather. Now, what I want to say is, what I heard of the loudspeaker was arrest, towing vehicles, license plate collection, use of force, deployment of chemical irritants, which may cause injury, while kids are present, while kids are in the video. And this is what everybody really wanted to speak on that became a problem. Everybody says this is not a Spring Valley issue or the park issue. I disagree that it is, because Spring Valley was what was caught on tape and on video. And from what I'm hearing, there has been incidents since then involving repasses, involving fireworks, and it is unfortunate, because the thing is, when there are too many Black people together, it becomes a problem. How do we get away from that? Because the same way that you don't want us to look at officers and say every officer is bad, every white person is bad because of what we may encounter, you have to understand and take us individually and say that we are all not grouped together, everybody is not bad, and understand that bad comes from everybody, from race, whatever profession, you're gonna find it. Start taking people for who they are And I'm gonna lift up once again, because this cannot be overlifted. Find something in the community for people to do. And it's not just kids. See, if you really focus on kids, then you're getting them prepared for adults. So when there's people that's older in the park, it's because of what was available to them as youngsters. But we need this, not just for kids, all ages. Occupy people's time, you will occupy their mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good evening, Jeff Messer, city resident. The public can read and respond to tonight's remarks on my blog at messer.substack.com. We are asking the City Commission to please direct the city manager to reopen Arcadia Creek Festival Place to the public until construction work resumes this fall. Arcadia Creek Festival Place has been completely fenced off and closed to the public for nearly 7 months since Tuesday, December 16, 2025. The only exceptions were in June during 2 weekend festivals, Kalamazoo Pride and Caribbean Festival. The site is scheduled to reopen again on Saturday, September 19 for the Can-Am Peace Jam. The site was fenced because it was going to be renovated this year. However, city staff decided to postpone renovations until after the end of festival season in October. Over the past nearly 7 months, the only work on the site has been a few days of environmental testing near the stage and the removal of 2 metal benches on the southwest corner of the park. At this point, all the fence does is keep people out of the site. During the last City Commission business meeting on Monday, June 15, Commissioner Jay Slaby echoed these facts and stated, quote, "If we're able to take the fences down for these festivals, please keep the fences down until we engage the rest of the construction phase. I think this is really important to ensure that we're sending the right message to the community that this will continue to be a space where everyone can gather no matter what." Her second quote echoes the promise that we received from Deputy City Manager Rebecca Kick nearly 2.5 years ago on Monday, February 5, 2024. "A fence surrounding the park is not part of the plan," Rebecca Kick said Monday. "Rather, the intention of the renovation is to make the park an inviting place for everyone in Kalamazoo. This means welcoming for all," Kick said. "Just like Bronson Park or MLK Park, those are places that are open to the public, and that's what this should be." On Monday, January 22, 2024, I was one of 8 citizens to stand at this lectern and get $1,650,000 in federal pandemic relief funds removed from the annual budget for Arcadia Creek Festival Place renovations. The City Commission restored these funds on February 19, 2024, with the understanding that these plans do not include fencing in the site. The current fencing of the site breaks the promise we received. So, City Manager Hankins, please honor the promise that your deputy made to us and reopen Arcadia Creek Festival Place to the public until renovation work resumes this fall. Otherwise, the community will learn that this administration does not keep its promises and cannot be trusted in the future. Thank you. Now please welcome some friends I've brought with me to also address the closure of the festival site.
Thank you.
My name is Aaron Gleason. I live in Knollwood over on the west side of Kalamazoo. I volunteer for Food Not Bombs. We distribute food and clothing every Sunday, and we set up every Sunday outside of the fence, outside of the Arcadia Creek Festival site. And we used to be in there, but now we are outside, and that means we are uncovered from the sun, we are uncovered from the rain, and we're distributing food. People are coming out here, dozens and dozens of people, every Sunday for good food and dry clothing. And without the aid of these, the coverings that we would have inside of the Arcadia Creek Festival site, we can't promise that. It's very simple. We need the fence to come down to serve our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, please.
I'm continuing Kathy Faithon's statement for next steps for the public nuisance. License plate numbers were taken and recorded that day. We would like clarity on what happened with those, and there should not be any action taken on those plates gathered that day. No vehicle should have any consequences for being present that day. Can we please get transparency around steps and process with that? Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if okay. Good evening to our mayor, vice mayor, commissioners, city manager, city attorney. My name is Charlotte Davis with Isaac. I want to first thank everyone who has spoken tonight in chambers, those who have written letters, those who have been impacted and those who have been harmed and those who care enough and also are hopeful enough that speaking up will bring change. I want to say that while I was not at Spring Valley Park, when I saw the pictures, especially that Brother Remius put up and things that were on social media, I saw children, I saw elders in age, I saw families in the pictures, and the first thing that I was thinking was, oh, this looks like a family reunion, a beautiful event. And as I started looking more and figuring out what was happening, and I'm sure all of the Black and brown folks here who have experienced this before, it clicked on, uh-oh, it has happened again. And that it has happened again is that being Black or being brown in public spaces. And that, as the young people would say, that is a thing, you all. And as you have already heard, and I want to put this on public record, and I know we don't want to talk about difficult things, there is systemic racism and racism in our community, and we just have to be honest about that if we are going to address it. Being Black or brown in public places, there's a public perception, if you've heard this already, I'm just echoing it, that the mere presence of Black and brown people, Black people in this instance, in public spaces are perceived as threatening, we're doing something wrong, and we don't belong. And this happens often. It happens with hostile encounters. This includes even community members. I was thinking back to an event that Isaac had at Spring Valley Park where a man walked up to us in white privilege and power questioning why we were in the park when we had a fundraiser there. So again, the calling while Black, that's a thing as well. That's something that is not legal now to do. And also differentiating that, you all, in practices and policies, and really looking at this seriously through an equitable lens, but a racial equity lens as well. You've heard people say it before. As Black and brown people, we experience it. We know that feeling when we are in public spaces, and then here comes, whether it's law enforcement or here comes somebody questioning us. That happens far too often. And as we can see in different instances, that's not only toxic, but that can be deadly to us. And I'm not being dramatic. That can be deadly. Racism can be deadly. So I want to put that out there. I want to also say, you all, that we have much work ahead of us. We have much work ahead of us. And with that, you all, I am asking for us to look at this as a systemic issue, to look at, again, the practices and the policies, not only of this park, but of different public spaces. And I want to also say that I look forward, and it's been asked of you all, I look forward to all of you all responding to this in your comments time as well. We definitely will be listening, so thank you.
Thank you.
Salutations, hi. My name is Jalea, and I'm a resident of Kalamazoo. I don't know how to do this, but anyways. I'm one of the young folks that like to turn up, and we don't have nowhere to go for real, so when we do events like at Spring Valley, we're supposed to be able to go there peacefully. And we're triggered thinking that a whole bunch of white people in uniforms and badges are gonna be against us. That's not fair. And I wanna know, well, y'all not gonna answer the question because y'all ain't answer, brother. Where did y'all think y'all was putting us if y'all was gonna arrest us? Because I've been in that county and it's nasty and it's overfilled and it's overcrowded and it's injustice in the whole system. Y'all do better, like for real. And that's all I really gotta say. And check out that jail system for real, because there's no running water. Y'all wasn't gonna put us out nowhere, not in there, not for what we was doing. Thank ya.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to take advantage of this public comment period?
Everyone, my name is Wendy Fields. I'm here as a resident of Kalamazoo County, well, Kalamazoo City, having lived here over 70 years. And so I also wore a different hat and was one of the ones in attendance to the meeting that was also held. And I'm glad that it was, because I think it helped all that were in the room to understand history, perspectives, the anger, the triggers that were there, and I want to say we left out of there having a better understanding with a plan to go further and deeper as we move forward. But the other thing I want to say is that event in Spring Valley is not new. I used to go and I hung like wet clothes on a clothesline. Was there, been there for decades. It was an awesome thing, and it's unfortunate what happened. But I heard over and over and over again from some of the people that came up here to speak that there is nothing in Kalamazoo to do. I heard that certain things need to happen, but I also want to encourage those individuals to maybe become entrepreneurs and to create what it is that they want to see for our children, because we do have a different culture, of which I love deeply. I commend Kim Guest, Symphony Ali, Brian Sims on the business that they have, which is the experience, and not having young kids myself, but we have individuals out here with young children. I would strongly encourage them to become entrepreneurs and to create what they want to see. The other thing that I took upon myself to do was I saw the video footage on Facebook, but I also contacted Kalamazoo Public Safety because I wanted to see what they had. And what I saw was different pieces of what was not on Facebook. And one of the things that also bothered me, we talk about the children, we talk about how they were impacted and what they saw, but they also heard some very vile and vulgar language, and that was coming from some of the attendees in that part. So it's a two-way street. Accountability, responsibility is real, and it comes on both parts and both ends. And I think that's something that came out in the meeting because everybody took accountability and responsibility for what did happen that day. And I'm just here to say that we can get better. Thank you. Oh, the other thing, because I took time, that I want to acknowledge is Lucinda Stinson. She was just selected and became the first African-American president of the Kalamazoo Rotary. So that happened today. So congratulations to her publicly.
Thank you.
City Commissioners, Mayor Anderson, City Manager, Vice Mayor Duncan. I'm coming as a Northside resident and also a second hat as the NACD Executive Director. First, I just want to echo and agree with a lot of the comments that's been made this evening, just going on, especially at Spring Valley Park. I saw the footage. I had my conversations with some of the KDPS leadership. It was disheartening to see, again, something that's been going on since my folks has been around. It's our culture. That's what we do. I just want to make sure and let it be known that that's what we do here in the city of Kalamazoo. That's what brings people here. That's what brought some of y'all here. And it's disheartening to see some of the issues that's been going on with our KDPS, how they address us, how they come at us when we're having our parties or when we're having our gatherings. This isn't 2020 anymore. We like to be around each other. We want to be in close proximity with each other. So although there's not much to do, I also want to echo as well what Wendy said. I want to lift up Kim Guest and Symphony Ali as they have establishments and businesses here in the city of Kalamazoo, downtown. And as I'm going into my next segue, we have Northside Day coming up August 8th, and this is not just a day to celebrate the people of the north side of Kalamazoo, but this is also a fundraiser. So although there's not much to do here in the city of Kalamazoo, this fundraiser is designed to support lift up a lot of the things that NACD wants to do, so especially with our workforce development, our housing and economic development. So, as there's nothing to do, you can directly impact what we do, especially on the north side of Kalamazoo, whether you have a business, whether you have any type of entrepreneurial adventure that you want to do. I want to build up the north side of Kalamazoo the way it used to be, period. It's been a lot of things that's been going on the north side of Kalamazoo that has been good and bad, but I want to build it up to where it used to be. It used to be a thriving neighborhood. It used to be lots of things to do. We used to be able to walk outside. We used to be able to open the door, keep the garage doors open, nothing happening, and we should be able to get back to that. So that's August 8th, 2026. Please be there, show up. There's 3 events in one day. 5K walk around in the morning, community celebration at Lacrone Park. I want everybody to be there, and then we're gonna have Beats on Northside Alley. Does anybody know where Beats on Northside Alley is? You don't know where Northside Alley is? It's right behind NACD building. I named it Northside Alley, so I need you to be there, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Kanuya Makwal Dekoy Indishnakas, also Monica is my name. I'm going to touch on something I said a few meetings ago when I spoke, and I'm going back around to respectability politics. Respectability politics, the belief that a good education, a respectable job, and replacing our cultural lifeways with the assimilation forced upon non-white people to survive will keep us safe. Attitudes that we are heavily policed because we create our own problems. That is black-on-black violence, thugs and guns and drugs and activists and noncompliance and resisting arrest and loitering and car gatherings. It's always us and never those upholding white supremacy who are the problem. It's always trying to make improvements on our behalf fit in a system of carceral violence that is inherently violent. It's in white people calling cops for no good reason on kids or neighbors or people in parks or whatever they want to weaponize them for. It's respecting a profession more than the people who pay their paychecks, which are everybody sitting behind me. I saw online people showing implicit bias about behavior, permits, and outright racist comments, almost jeering at the reaction by police at the Spring Valley function. And my question is, why was there a media write-up after there was public addresses within the community that brought up a crowd of people who were being defiant? I think these coded words about being defiant is the why or justification for intimidation by the police force. I personally have experienced the force and harassment of KDPS towards vulnerable populations. Implicit bias exists in the force, and when you approach a group of black people in an acultural and intimidating way, the response of the questioning is appropriate. ICE has sprayed mace inside of black families' cars, has put infants in critical condition. Police have murdered a 1-year-old baby in Mississippi because the parent was accused of stealing diapers. And I saw a local video in Kalamazoo of KDPS grabbing a black man by his locks after tasing him twice at close range and dragging him out of the car by his hair. I know and can sense what every police force is capable of as we mourn stolen black lives daily in the global black community. Do not treat the citizens as if they deserve to be surveilled and controlled and can only be approached with hostile, aggressive, weaponized, militaristic police. And black people don't owe you a certain demeanor to deserve respect as important citizens of this city. To the people, you know what's up. Stay up, keep your head up, and speak up. All power to the people.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the chambers who would like to take advantage of this public comment period?
Everybody, Willa Sibling, Kalamazoo resident, also member of the city's Board of Civil Rights, also proud union member at Western. You probably can guess what I want to talk about tonight. It's been the common theme, but I think it's incredibly important to emphasize a broken system. A broken system is one where there is a one-sidedness. What do I mean by one-sidedness? Let's think about how we define a mobile nuisance party. What is a mobile nuisance party besides a gathering of non-white folks? When I think about the one-sidedness, I've heard a few comments saying, there's nothing to do in Kalamazoo. I disagree, and here's how. There are things to do if you have money. There are things to do if you can sit in an air-conditioned restaurant. There are things to do if you can afford and have the privilege to go to school and be in classes. But what if those things don't apply to you? This is the one-sidedness that demonstrates that a system is broken. One-sidedness is with the flock cameras. Anybody, even people from out of state, can access and have accessed Michigan's flock cameras. That's a one-sidedness. It's one-sided because if I want to know what was going on with KDPS, I have to FOIA that, send an email that doesn't get an answer, spend money on those things, spend time on those things. One-sidedness. One-sidedness will not help our city grow and expand. One-sidedness will not cause us to have transparency and accountability. One-sidedness means that if you have access and means, you are going to be a first-class citizen, and everybody else fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh-class citizens. What can we do to ensure that we have a system that is not one-sided? I've laid out a couple of things here. Why do we have flock cameras? Why have we put literal fences around third spaces? What are we doing for our community to try to alleviate this burden? I know some of you in this room share a faith. The faith asks questions like, who is my neighbor? You know how that story goes, right? Who is our neighbor in Kalamazoo? It's not the commissioner. It's not the CEO of a hospital network. Who is our neighbor in Kalamazoo? Who deserves that preferential option? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the chambers who would like to take advantage of this public comment period this evening? All right, seeing no one, the public comment period is closed. And I do want to thank everyone that took the time, made the effort to come down here to the chambers and express your deeply felt concerns. I appreciate that. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda, G. Manager Hankins.
Thank you, Mayor. Item G1, approval of a 6-month contract extension with Top Notch Tree Care LLC for 2026 tree removal in the amount of $105,930. Item G2, approval of a contract with
Commissioner Slavy?
I apologize, Mayor. I was wondering if the commission would consider removing G18 from the consent agenda and moving it to the regular agenda. And I apologize for not doing that at the time of adoption of formal agenda. G18, the approval of updated retirement system endowment investment allocations.
Okay.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Manager Hankins?
Item G2, approval of a contract with PK Contracting LLC for the 2026 handwork pavement markings project in the amount of $111,077.50. Item G3, approval of a professional service agreement with Hubble, Roth, and Clerk, Inc. for construction engineering for the Portage Street Cork to Stockbridge Safety Project in the amount of $130,805. 4, approval of a sole source purchase with Quality Air Services LLC for the critical spaces control platform upgrade for the Kalamazoo Crime Laboratory exhaust system in the amount of $132,115. 5, approval of an 18-month contract extension with Tree Works for hazardous tree removal in the amount of $199,843.07. Item 6, approval of the purchase of John Deere 544P wheel loader from AIS Construction Equipment through the My Deal Cooperative Purchasing Program in the amount of $344,990. Item 7, approval of an 18-month contract extension with Kendall Electric, Inc. for inventory and non-inventory electrical supplies in the amount of $608,000. Item G8, approval of a resolution of tentative award for the fiscal year 2026 non-copper service line replacement. G9, adoption of a resolution approving the amended 2016 Michigan Mutual Aid Box Alarm System Association Agreement. G10, adoption of a resolution approving new neighborhood enterprise zone certificate application for a new building at 825 Porter Street and 810 North Pitcher Street in the Zone 32 NEZ District. Item G11, acceptance of the donation of a mobile command trailer from the U.S. Department of Energy, Office of Radiology Security. G12, approval of an agreement with the City of Galesburg to install radio readers in Fleetwood Plat for sewer billing in the amount of $250,000. G13, approval of an Economic Development Corporation Economic Initiative Fund loan to All Neds Hospitality, LLC in the amount of $120,000. G14, authorization for the city attorney to settle a sewer backup claim with AZO Services Management, LLC in the amount of $47,117.27. 15, authorization for the city attorney to settle a waste release claim for Costco Wholesale at 5100 Century Avenue in the amount of $81,273.43. 16, acceptance of a grant from the Irving S. Gilmore Foundation in the amount of $80,000 and a donation from the Downtown Economic Growth Authority in the amount of $30,000 to fund 2026 holiday events and programming. 17, approval of Housing Development Fund grant agreement with Community Homeworks for single-family owner occupied critical and code enforcement repairs in the amount of $135,000. Item 18, approval of the minutes from the City Commission meetings on June 1st and June 15th, 2026.
Thank you, Manager Hankins. So, Commissioners, the requested action is a motion to approve items 1 through 17 and item 19, and authorize the city manager to sign all related documents on behalf of the city. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Hess.
Second.
Supported by Commissioner Slaby. Deputy Clerk Moss, please call the roll.
Commissioner Pradle?
Yes, but I'm going to abstain from G17 as it's my employer.
Commissioner Slaby?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. Items on the consent agenda are approved. Next, we're on to H, the regular agenda. City Manager Hankins.
Thank you, Mayor. Item H1, approval of a contract with Powell Construction USA, LLC for the 2026 pipelining project in the amount of $2,792,847.
Thank you, Manager Hankins. Is there a staff report on this item?
There is not, but staff are available if need be.
Commissioners, do you have questions for staff on this particular item? This is item H1. All right, seeing no questions, now is the opportunity that anyone in the audience can comment on this item. I ask that your comments be directed specifically to this particular agenda item in your comments. That's item H1. You'll have 3 minutes. Please come forward to state your name and whether you live in a city. Seeing no one, is there anyone here on the commission who's willing to make a motion to approve item H1?
Motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Slaby.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Wilson. Discussion, Commissioners? Seeing no discussion, Deputy Clerk Moss, please call the roll.
Commissioner Slaby?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Mayor Anderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Hess?
Yes.
Commissioner Pradle?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. Next on the agenda is item H2, Manager Hankins.
Thank you, Mayor. Adoption of an ordinance authorizing water supply systems revenue bonds series 2026B in an amount not to exceed $2,500,000.
Thank you, Manager Hankins. Is there a staff report on this item?
There is not.
No staff report. Any questions, Commissioners, on the sale of revenue bonds? Seeing no questions from the Commission, now is the opportunity for anybody in the chambers to comment on this item. It's item H2. You'll have 3 minutes. State your name and whether you live in a city, please. Item H2. Adoption of an ordinance authorizing water supply system revenue bonds.
Page 3.
I'm sorry.
Page 3. I was just
Page 3. Yep.
trying to help you.
Thank you. You all set? All right. Seeing no other comments, commissioners, the recommended action is a motion to adopt. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Slaby.
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Pradel. Any discussion, commissioners? Seeing none, Deputy Clerk Moss, please call the roll.
Commissioner Wilson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Duncan,
Yes.
Mayor Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Hess,
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel,
Yes.
Commissioner Slaby.
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners. The motion passes. Now, even though it didn't appear on the printed agenda, we do have a third item now on our regular agenda. This would be item H3 now on our regular agenda, which was formerly consent agenda item G18. Manager Hankins.
Thank you, Mayor. Approval of updated retirement system endowment investment allocations, adding the Loomis Sales Active Core Fund.
Thank you very much, Manager Hankins. Commissioner Slaby.
Thank you, Mayor Anderson. I had requested this to be removed from the consent agenda so we can have a discussion about the consideration of adding the Loomis Sales Active Core Fund to our portfolio. I understand our current retirement portfolio already includes investment options that are not ESG screened, that's environmental social governance screened. And I'm not suggesting we remove those choices at this time, but I do support expanding the range of options available to employees. My concern is that if we're adding new funds, I'd prefer we prioritize adding screened funds that give employees the opportunity to invest in alignment with environmental, social, and governance principles. More choice, for me, is a good thing, and I believe those choices should include funds that reflect those values. A fund like this will often has a high probability of having those funds invested in things like overseas defense contractors and also big fossil fuels. And I think based on the work that we've done from an environmental standpoint as a city and our support on nonviolence, I would hope that we don't invest in a portfolio that includes funds that may or may not be involved in advancing those type of activities. There are different types of funds that we could look at to include in our portfolio that are ESG screened. Again, that's environmental social governance screened, which basically means those bonds or funds screen for those type of activities and are not included in the portfolio. And they are also effective and perform well compared to these traditional bonds. So I just wanted to lift that up to my fellow commissioners. I know I'm bringing this up at this time while we're considering the approval of this. I just, by that principle alone, will be voting no to include this because I would love us moving forward, any new funds added to the portfolio, to consider that type of screening be applied.
Thank you, Commissioner Slaby. Other discussion, commissioners? Commissioner Hess.
Sure. Appreciate you lifting that up. I'm just wondering, is it Steve Vicenzi that could speak to this?
Yes.
And maybe just give us a background on how we do screen for adding these funds.
All right, so these funds are part of the retirement system endowment. So they're not actively invested directly by employees. That's their 457 accounts. Those are handled separately through Nationwide. We have a fiduciary agreement with Nationwide to provide a mix of funds available to employees within that retirement system. For this retirement system, we have the Retirement Investment Committee, which has been in place since the 1980s. They have been, creating our investment allocations, recommending to City Commission, as we brought here forward tonight, So that committee put together a subcommittee to review the fixed income portion of the portfolio. They did their research on that topic along with assistance from Zhang Financial, who helps us, do any detailed research when it comes to any of our investments. And then, their responsibility as a committee is to, provide the highest rate of return while protecting the overall asset portfolio. ESG has been a conversation for a long time that has been brought up at that committee. There are some potential legal risks with ESG funding in a pension. For example, if you invest into a fund that does not perform as well as another, you have to be able to defend that decision. If you invest in a fund and it goes negative, you also have to be able to defend that position as well. So, not saying we can't do ESG, it's just we have to be extremely careful that that is not the focus, that we're here protecting the funds that are set aside for our retirees' pensions.
Thank you. Other questions for staff at this time? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Vicenzi. Appreciate it. Other discussion, Commission? Commissioner Slavy.
I would understand that we would make a motion, and then if it's supported, then we have another opportunity to discuss too.
Sure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, Commissioners, the recommended action is a motion to approve and authorize the city manager to sign all related documents. Is there a motion? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
I want to
Ms.
thank
Stat.
Commissioner Slavy. My name's Toby Hannah Davies, and I was instrumental in starting the very responsible investment endowment fund at the Kalamazoo Community Foundation for Isaac. And I really appreciate the question of whether we want to be supporting by our investments things like weapons, alcohol, guns, tobacco, any of the things that are questionable investments regarding our values. It's very important to know that the return on investment, the ROI, is just as high or even better for socially responsible investments. There are so many things that we do support, that we do want to help grow in our country and in our community. And really, all our investments should be in line with those values that I think all of you hold. So I would really appreciate your postponing this question if you don't have enough answers yet, and truly considering a policy that all investments for our retirement funds for our employees should be socially responsible. Thank you.
Thank you, and I apologize in moving this from the consent. I looked over the point where we have the opportunity on all regular agenda items for anyone in the chambers to comment on that item, so I apologize. Anyone else who wants to comment on this item is now item H3. Seeing no one else. Commissioners, the recommended action is a motion to approve. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I guess after Toby spoke, I did have a question for staff, and I wondered if we could still ask.
Sure.
Prior to the motions are. Thank you. Thank you, Steve. While thinking about our fiduciary responsibility, I think back to the contract, the extension for our assessors. And, I knew when we had removed it originally from the agenda, we had realized after the fact that, there was a deadline for that extension, right? So I guess I just had a question around, is this time sensitive? Is there some kind of deadline that we have coming up in regards to this? Could we postpone to allow commissioners to consider what has been brought up, or are we fighting against a timeline to allow this to be added to the portfolio, if that's what we decide here?
No, there's no strict timeline to this item. I just brought it forward as soon as reasonably possible after the investment committee approved their recommendation. So if you want to delay for further consideration or questions, we can definitely do that.
So this doesn't impact necessarily significantly on the timeline in which it would be put into effect to impact the retirement fund?
It will not.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. So, Commissioners, recommended action is a motion to approve. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Commissioner Pradel. Is there support?
Sure, support.
Support, okay. Discussion, Commission.
Commissioner Slaby, I appreciate you bringing this up, and I think it's worthy to explore. I hesitate that we're paying for these folks to examine things and make recommendations for us, and I just think that after they've done that work, I'd rather just approve this tonight and then look at moving forward in the future ways that we can examine that rather than delay or reject work that they've already done on our behalf.
Other discussion? Commissioner Slaby.
I do want to say thank you to the committee, because I know you guys meet and work hard to figure out how we can do best by our retirees, and that's important to ensure that our workforce feels supported even after they're done working for the city of Kalamazoo. I just want to lift up what Toby mentioned, what I've mentioned before, is that these ESG-screened funds perform just as well as traditional bonds, and I think that they better represent and reflect our values as a city, and I think that if we truly want to live those values, it should be reflected in all the things we do, even within the realm of finance. And I absolutely appreciate, our CFO, Steve Vincenzi, bringing up, our fiduciary responsibility. I don't think this goes against that, and I think it actually strengthens our ability to continue and follow through with the values that we lift up as an organization and have that embodied in our financial decisions. I don't think that we have to always put, the bottom line of the financial bottom line against values in the community. I think they can work hand in hand, and it's better when we do that and find solutions that represent that. So. Again, I appreciate the idea that we would move forward with this based on the work that was done by the committee, and I appreciate the recommendation. Still at this time, I made a commitment to constituents here in Kalamazoo that I would, look at these things as they come up and ask these questions and champion ESG screened funds, and I'll continue to do that. And I hope that we can explore that as a broader discussion on this dais in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Slaby. Other discussion? So I think it's worthy of some comments on this, so I'm going to be supporting this action. One thing to keep in mind here, and I think it was good to have clarification, is these are not the funds where you can make individual choices to invest in as an individual here investing in a 403B or whatever the plan is. This is the investment of our portfolio, which is an extremely important portfolio because that is what allows us to pay pensions, which we are committed to legally. And as a matter of fact, our pension responsibility is enshrined in our Constitution in the state of Michigan, so that is a very significant legal liability that the city enters into, is the capacity to pay pensions. And the only way that a fund has the capacity to pay pensions, which in our case currently amounts to about $32 million a year in pension payments that we make for retired city employees, that we have, responded to that part of our whole, arrangement that we have in terms of negotiated contracts and that sort of thing. that is a great deal of an investment. And certainly would be, if we were taking those funds out of our general fund, then, I mean, that would be half our general fund right there. There'd be a boatload of things you weren't able to do. So there's that. Just another reminder is that this is a group of volunteers. We don't pay them, who sit on our retirement investment committee, who commit hours and hours to helping us fulfill that fiduciary responsibility. But it's the same group that also oversees the county pension funds, the majority of the funds for the Kalamazoo Community Foundation. Yes, there is a little set aside at the Community Foundation related to ESG, but the majority of the funds at the Community Foundation are managed in the same way, and the Road Commission, and Integrated Services of Kalamazoo, so many entities that have a similar investment requirement and that sort of thing. So that's one thing. Set this aside is that I am more than happy and would encourage us to engage in some conversation about that, but I would also go so far as to say that none of us sitting here are investment professionals either, and I want to make sure that we are not, kind of making investment decisions, based on, what we've heard or what we read somewhere or our interpretation of something that's happened, but they're solidly tied to data-driven decisions, that sort of thing. So I think that would be the basis for us having that kind of conversation. So that all said, and which is a broader discussion, for this particular action tonight, I'm going to be voting in support of it. The other thing is that we all get an opportunity to participate as members of various committees, and some committees we're voting members on. All of us have a list of things where we attend. And for example, CATS, you have 3 votes when you go to CATS, Commissioner Slavey, and some other opportunities we have, for example, being a liaison to the Planning Commission, Commissioner Pradel, you don't have a vote at all. You sit in the audience and you provide a report. So there's a variety of ways that we participate. Just so happens that that particular committee, our Retirement Investment Committee, has not been one that's been particularly popular to sit on for years and years and years. So that's one that I go to those meetings as the liaison. I don't have a voting membership there, but that is another opportunity at that committee level to have those kind of discussions also. So I might suggest that might be a good place for that to start. Any other discussion? Deputy Clerk Moss, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Duncan.
Yes.
Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Hess.
Yes.
Commissioner Pradel.
Yes.
Commissioner Slavey.
No.
Commissioner Wilson.
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioners. The motion passes. We have now come to reports and legislation. Manager Hankins.
Thank you, Mayor. One item I'll just speak to is the upcoming changes to the Medicaid eligibility that may affect thousands of Kalamazoo County residents begins in January 2027. And as of May 2025, more than 12,500 Kalamazoo residents are enrolled in the Healthy Michigan Plan. The city is not directly responsible for the administration of programs, but I do believe that our community has a lot of residents who can be impacted if they are not qualified for continued Medicaid eligibility. So the research that we've been looking at through organizations says that most folks who are not qualified are not done so because they're not meeting the qualifications, but because of administrative reasons. And so this is a call out to encourage people who receive Medicaid to look into what the requirements are. You can seek assistance through My Bridges navigators, community health workers, or other participant organizations, just to be sure that before this deadline comes that your health care and health insurance benefits are not lost. And so that's one of the things that I'm encouraging folks to pay attention to. One other thing, I think we've heard mention of some fires that we had over the July 4th holiday. I think that that's an important thing to note. I've had conversations with staff, police, park staff, et cetera. We do want to have the ability to reduce the amount of damage that occurs during the holiday. And so we're going to be talking through how we can strategize around that. Our public safety folks responded to over 1,100 calls for service, did a lot of emergency work during the 3rd through the 5th, so appreciate that work. My goal is not to have them as active during that period of time. So appreciate the work, but we also want to try to do some preventative work as well over the next year. So, thank you.
Thank you, Manager Hankins. I appreciate that very much. I'm going to ask for a report from our Deputy Clerk Moss at this point.
Thank you, Mayor. The preparations for the August 4th election are well underway, and absentee ballots have been mailed out. Voters can still request a ballot. They can contact our office by email. We can still take applications through the mail. I know that there are voters concerned. There have been some candidates that have dropped off the ballot or dropped out of the primary. If anyone has already returned their ballot to our office, voters can contact our office to spoil that ballot and receive a new one by July 24th. If that's for a ballot that we have already received. If voters still have their ballots, they can come to our office and spoil that ballot if they need to, and contact our office for the best option for them. Absentee ballots do need to be returned by Election Day at 8 p.m. Voters can return that ballot by mail or in one of our drop boxes or in person at the clerk's office. Also, voters have the option, they can take their absentee ballot to an early voting site or to their precinct and tabulate their ballot in person. More information can be found on the city's website and on michigan.gov/vote.
Thank you, Deputy Clerk Moss. I appreciate all that. And I just want to add one little thing to that, which is a pleading, a friendly pleading that if you are on the permanent absentee list and have received your ballot or intend to get an absentee ballot, is July 6th today. It's not due until August 4th. There's a lot of days between now and August 4th when you can bring that ballot in, rather than bringing it in at 5 o'clock on August 4th. And one of the downsides of bringing that absentee ballot in, which you got in advance, so you can spend a lot of time thinking about it, even changing it and spoiling your ballot, coming back in a new one, is that if those ballots are returned, they are slow down the counting process. And I know it is so important right now, profoundly important, that we all trust our ballot counting process and the people that are elected. And unfortunately, when those come in late, that puts a big burden on our clerk's office and slows down the count. So please take advantage of thinking about that now and the time you have. You can bring the ballot right in to the clerk's office. You can drop it off in drop boxes that are at 5 locations around town. There's postage on it. You can put it in the mail if you want to do that. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. I will ask you, because you provided some information to us, Attorney Leal, related to some of the processing of Freedom of Information Act requests and some of that's been going on. Do you want to comment on any of that this evening?
Specific to?
Number of Freedom of Information Act requests that you've processed this year?
For the general public, as you all may be aware, the FOIA coordinator for the city is technically myself, and we have an assistant FOIA coordinator who also processes all the FOIA requests that are filed daily in the city. The amount of FOIA requests that we get every year has been increasing since I've received here. I do keep track of the numbers. Last year, we were just under 4,000 FOIA requests that we received and processed. This year, at the first 6 months, we've received over 2,200 requests so far. So we're on pace. If things continue to go the way they are, we will cross the 4,000 FOIA requests. Now, FOIA requests that we receive are not necessarily a request for one document or this document. The FOIA requests, the majority that we received are related to KDPS, and they involve usually requests for body cam footage, dash cam footage, police reports, and other documents maybe related to any particular incident. Those can be very lengthy to process. They can involve hundreds and not thousands of documents, and that's that we review and process and send out. So for individuals who do request whose request is going to exceed a very high number, we do typically send out an estimate to the individual so they could put down a balance to see if they wish to continue going further. So anyway, the point is that the city has been seeing an increase in the number of FOIA requests that we receive each year, and as I mentioned, we are on pace to cross 4,000 this year.
Thank you, Attorney Lee. I'll appreciate the work of your office to comply with that. It is certainly the case at the city that the sunshine laws, otherwise known as the Open Meetings Act, Freedom of Information Act, and that sort of thing, that in many ways came out of Watergate and that sort of thing in the 70s, is a law that we must adhere to, and we spend a lot of time and effort to make sure that we do. Interestingly enough, in the state of Michigan, there are state offices, including the governor, that are, for whatever reason, are exempt from having to respond to Freedom of Information Act requests. Not sure why that is. Might be a question to ask any candidate that's running for governor or another state office this year, whether that would be something they would support. But here at this level, the city of Kalamazoo, that is something we not only are committed to, we're legally required to do, and our good team in the attorney's office processes those. Thank you, Attorney Leal. Now we're down to commissioner comments. Are there any commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Wilson.
Thanks, Mayor. And can I just say, I am loving the energy in this room tonight. I got legit goosebumps. Thank you for making my job a whole lot easier. For those that don't know me, I was raised in Kalamazoo, attended North Glade and Lincoln Elementary Schools, Hillside Middle, and Kalamazoo Central. I love my city and I love my people. I also have a confession to make. Every commissioner completes a ride-along with KDPS during their first term, typically in their first year. I'm now 3 years into mine, and I only completed my first ride-along last week. It wasn't because I didn't care. It wasn't because I was too busy. It was because I was afraid. That fear wasn't created overnight, and it wasn't created by one officer or one department. It comes from generations of lived experiences and historically inequitable policing that have left deep wounds in Black communities across this country. As the saying goes, the body keeps the score. For many of us, our first instinct when we encounter law enforcement isn't comfort, it's fight or flight. So when I saw what unfolded at Spring Valley Park, I immediately recognized that fear. Whether people agreed with every action that day or not, I understood the emotions because I felt them myself. That Monday, I even emailed Manager Hankins, "Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for your attention to this Spring Valley situation. It feels like our nuisance party ordinance, section 22.51, is starting to be weaponized against our community. I look forward to seeing the update in the outcome of this situation." During my ride-along, I had the opportunity to attend a meeting between KDPS and the Sunday Funday organizers to discuss a path forward. Community members openly shared how the show of force was experienced, why it can escalate fear rather than calm a situation, and the historical and cultural importance of Sunday Funday at Spring Valley Park. What impressed me most was that everyone stayed at the table. KDPS and city staff listened to those concerns. They explained the circumstances that led to the response, acknowledged how it was perceived, and focused the conversation on how Sunday Funday can continue safely at Spring Valley moving forward. Likewise, community members made it clear that they want relationships, not just enforcement. They encouraged officers to engage with the community outside of crisis situations and even invited them to attend future Sunday Fundays so that they can learn more about our culture and gain the comfort required to police our neighborhoods. Although it took me 3 years to complete my first ride-along, I'm grateful that it happened when it did. I was able to witness firsthand what it looks like when people choose dialogue over division and solutions over blame. Real trust isn't built during emergencies, it's built before them. It's built through conversations like these, through showing up, through listening, through being willing to acknowledge pain while working together towards something better. I want to thank KDPS, city staff, the Sunday Fun Day organizers, and every community member who chose to come to the table that day and today. Healing doesn't happen overnight, but moments like this are how it begins. This is how we begin to build trust. This is how we begin to heal long-standing trauma. And this is how we continue building a better Kalamazoo together. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. Commissioner Slavy.
Thank you, Mayor Anderson. Wanted to follow up with City Manager Hankins' discussion around cuts and changes to Medicaid. We recently had a press conference on the City Hall steps a week ago. I was surprised by that because I know that I didn't receive any notification of that happening, and I don't think my colleagues or our city staff did either. It looks like there's a statewide organization called Community Action Michigan who's working with some other partners to bring forth a city ballot initiative. This would create, if passed on the November ballot, it would create a health committee under the city, and then they would be charged with creating a health action plan. And it's specifically looking at how we as a city can advocate for improvements to Medicare and affordability, health insurance affordability for our community members. This was led by, again, Community Action Michigan. They had a petition that was circulated for the last month. They had to receive over 5,000 signatures, which they did, and they have submitted since then to the county clerk. They're doing this in locations like Benton Harbor, Battle Creek, Kalamazoo, Portage, as well as Lansing, East Lansing. I've since spoken to the organizers because, again, I thought it was just strange that none of us knew about it, and I think this is something that we would love to be informed about because it's something that would be on our local ballot. So actually, former MDP Chair Lavora Barnes is heading this, and so she gave me a call after I talked with the organizers, and I'd love for them to be connected with you, City Manager Hankins, to see if potentially it could go on one of our Committee of the Whole agendas, so we can learn more about this. Because again, if it's going to be a ballot initiative, I think that commissioners should know about that so we're more able to talk with our residents about this coming up and what that looks like, because ultimately the city organization, if this is to pass, we would have to provide staffing to support this committee and figure out what this health action plan even looks like and what that implementation looks like. So I wanted to share that because, again, I don't think anyone else was aware. And I was only made aware of this because someone approached me with a petition at a Bronson Park event, and then I saw the press conference on social media. So I said, why don't I just stop by? I have attended so many events, but I just wanted to highlight within the last week, shout out to our wonderful community partners, and then as well as Vice Mayor Drew Duncan for putting on a discussion around gun violence and voter suppression at the Douglas Community Association. I'm sure the Vice Mayor will talk more about that, so I'll leave it at that. Also volunteered at U4U's weekly work that they do at the MLK Park on the north side, where they pass out water, food, and wet rags to keep people cool in the park. And then, also, since I'm a resident of the Vine, love to go down and check out our annual Vine Fest a couple weeks ago, which was fantastic. That was hosted at the Davis Street Park, and I felt like that was a lot of good stuff happening there, especially after the recent incident that happened to Lonnie, a resident of our neighborhood. And then also the Vine Zine Fest that was held with the Vine Neighborhood Association this other day. I wanted to also speak to, like my fellow Commissioner Alonzo Wilson did, to the recent incident at Spring Valley Park. I really appreciate everyone coming here and sharing their concerns and their ideas on how we could move forward. You know, I think that this raises a broader question about how we respond to concerns in our public spaces. Our parks belong to everyone. Every resident should be able to access recreation and enjoy these spaces with dignity and a sense of belonging. When conflicts or complaints arise, I think we should ask whether the only response available should be law enforcement response. This was a public park. We have a Parks and Rec department. I know it was a Sunday, but I think we should discuss how we're training our city staff across the organization to be able to address situations that don't require law enforcement to respond to, and have them trained through communication, de-escalation, and most importantly, customer service. To me, this was a terrible customer service situation that could have led into some really bad, hostile, even more hostile situations that was presented at that day, especially for an event that has historically been there regularly for decades. You know, as we continue implementing our 5-year Parks and Recreation Master Plan, this is when we think about how our investment impacts the day-to-day moments and interactions of our staff with our residents, right? I hope we can think beyond playgrounds and trails and physical improvements. Those investments are important, but we should also measure success by whether our parks feel welcoming, inclusive, and accessible to every member of our community. And I know that we just finished our 5-year master plan for Parks and Rec update about a year ago. We spent over $100 grand on consultants that are not from our community just for them to host just 2 or 3 community meetings. And so that makes me wonder, what kind of work are we doing to deepen those conversations, bring different groups into those meetings so that the vision that we have for this community can be reflected across all groups of people, and that they feel like they can go and just have a cookout whenever they want without fear of having to be, you know, addressed by law enforcement for just having a good time. Creating great parks isn't only about what we build, it's also about how people experience them and whether they feel that they belong here. And so I would welcome a conversation about what additional training, policies, or resources could help ensure our parks remain places where everyone feels safe, respected, and able to enjoy the outdoors. Now, from what I understand from internal communications from our city manager, no one was actually ticketed, but I was made aware that potentially people were added to, I guess, a warning list, and that their license plates were taken down. And I just would request that our city staff consider the removal of these names from this warning list based on this incident, and allow people to move forward with a clean slate. And if we're truly genuine in wanting to partner with our residents on providing spaces where they feel safe and comfortable to enjoy themselves. I also wanted to bring up the blue lights. You know, I really would love, City Manager Hankins, if we could have staff review the continued use of the blue lights installed throughout our community and report back to the Commission on options for their immediate removal or replacement. While these lights may have been installed with good intentions, we've heard from residents that they can negatively affect the character of our neighborhoods and public spaces. There are also broader questions about their effectiveness, their impact on visibility and quality of life, which matters on the north side just as much as any other neighborhood, and whether they continue to serve the purpose they were originally intended to address. As we work to build neighborhoods that are welcoming, vibrant, and people-centered, our public infrastructure should reflect those values, and I appreciate so much the work that's done by our Public Works Department for doing that with our lead service lines and other public infrastructure. But this type of public safety infrastructure that we've been installing lately should also be included and evaluated in that with that same lens. You know, for me, it's like, if the question is it's too dark out and it's hard to be able to come through and see, then that tells me we just have a general lighting problem. I mean, why is it so dark on the north side? And I know Maddie Jordan Woods has been yelling at the top of her lungs for decades about light up the north side, right? I know that Building Blocks has done tremendous work on their own for working with residents to put more lights in people's front yards. And so I don't think we need the blue lights. I think we need to partner with Consumers Energy to ensure that there's adequate lighting and investment in that lighting, just like we do in any other neighborhood. I know we've been doing work along Ransom Street on the north side, but it needs to go further into the neighborhood, lighting that doesn't interfere with people's ability to sleep and enjoy themselves peacefully in their residences. And so I just hope that we can review this further and ensure that we're not just looking at one location, but looking at it holistically, where any of these lights may be located throughout the city. I just wanted to mention some of the people want to participate, want more oversight. I'm not saying that this is the only solution, but I just want to mention that we do have a police oversight board. It's called the Citizens Public Safety Review and Appeal Board, and there are seats on there. So I'm not saying that's the only solution and that, hey, we're not doing well because people aren't sitting on there, but if you want your voice heard and represented, I would just encourage you to take a look at that and make sure that there are people that represent all communities here in the city on that board. I want to say that just a couple plugs for future events, because it's important to the community. On Thursday at Griswold Auditorium, while it is in Allegan County, this affects us all, there's going to be a Congressional 4th District Candidate Forum. This is where you can listen to and ask questions of your potential future congressman. And that's going to include the 4 candidates that are running for that seat. And that is Diop Harris, that is Sean McCann, that is Bill Huizenga, who is our sitting congressman, as well as Phil Tanis. And so these people are supposed to be there that day. Again, it's this Thursday, July 9th, from 6:30 to 8 at Griswold Auditorium. And this is an opportunity for people to go there, listen to what their vision is for the district, which includes Kalamazoo City and the bordering townships. And these are the people that are going to represent us in DC for the next 2 years. With the August primary coming up, both for the Republican and for the Democratic ticket for this race, I just encourage people to look into all your candidates because we can only do so much at the local level. We got to get our partners in the state and federal level to be able to get funding and get the programming that we all deserve here in Kalamazoo. And I know since it's outside of the county and transportation might be a barrier or you have other issues that doesn't allow you to go there, they are streaming this on Facebook. So you can look up Michigan MI, so MI for the number, the people. So MI for the people, that's their Facebook, that's the organization hosting this candidate forum, and they are streaming it live that day, again, Thursday from 6:30 to 8. We are on July 21st, I am working with IBEW, Local 131. We are hosting a workplace power workshop. That's going to be at Shakespeare's Pub here in Kalamazoo, starting at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, July 21st. And that is going to be an opportunity for anybody, whether you're part of a union or not. If you are working, you are a worker, and you have rights. And we are going to have a discussion on what those rights look like, how you can advocate for them, and we just want to allow that as a space for people across industries to come together in this area and talk about what that looks like and how we can advocate collectively. So again, that is Tuesday, July 21st at 6 p.m. right here downtown Kalamazoo at Shakespeare's. And I think those are all the events. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Slaby. Other comments, commissioners? Commissioner Pradel?
I had some thoughts written down, but I'm just going to skip over them and just kind of share some thoughts. I think it's usually Dr. Davis that usually is encouraging us to share thoughts at the end and help community process through our public comments. And I'll be the first to admit that I sometimes struggle with that, not because I don't want to share what's on my mind, not because I don't think or have thoughts about what was said, but sometimes I just want to take and marinate and let those thoughts and things that have happened and transpired just kind of work through my, my mind and my soul. I think it would be extremely difficult for any warm-blooded human being to sit in one of these roles and not listen to 30-plus people who get up and feel immense frustration with the process or our world or society and messed up things that happen in it. I think also, sometimes people will see you after a night where there's a lot of public dialogue, and they'll say things like, gosh, like, that must be pretty rough to sit up there and listen to people who are that upset talking to you. And I've said this before, and I mean this when I say this, it doesn't scare me the day that people get up because they have feelings or they feel a certain way. What scares me is the day that nobody shows up. The fact that there are 7 people who are willing to serve up here, I can promise you from what I know about these individuals, whether they're like the 2 of us that grew up here our whole lives and went to Kalamazoo Central, or people who became transplants because of career opportunities, or people who came here more recently, that every one of these people did it because they genuinely believe that somehow, even if they're one of these 7 people, that somehow they can make this a better place. I can assure you that the vast majority of people who step up into roles, irregardless of their paycheck at City Hall or working for the city, did it for very much the same reason. And I can pretty much bet that most of the people who showed up here tonight and came here after their long day and working with their family and having all the obligations they have in life, that they too show up because they want to make this a better place. I think there are times like these, and especially in the national landscape, where it is so compelling when things go wrong or things get tough that we just walk away. And we walk away from each other, and we walk away from the challenges. But I guess my challenge to everybody would be in these moments just to do our best to lean in. I also just, one of the things I just want to share as well is, like, I frequently think about this as a white male in the United States and in our community. I'm raising 3 little white boys, and I think about that a lot. And I pray to God that my wife and I are doing as good a job as we possibly can to make sure that those 3 young men grow up to be people who want to be a part of making this community a better place. So anyways, I appreciate everybody showing up, speaking their truth, challenging us to be better. And I think, again, all those groups that I mentioned, I think they genuinely want to do better and make this community better. And I just encourage us to all continue to engage and lean in.
Thank you, Commissioner Bradel. Commissioner Hess?
Thank you, Commissioner Brittle. Commissioner Wilson, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Yes, ride-alongs can be very, very telling and very a great learning experience. I also want to thank everyone that showed up. Yes, it is hard to sit up here, and yes, I want to tell you that we all heard you. We all heard you, we all felt you. It went straight to our heart. Not sure how that's going to play out moving forward, but it will be in our, it'll be on my to-do list as we work between meetings with folks and with departments. I did want to bring to light the 40th Annual Black Arts and Culture Festival right here in Bronson Park this Saturday, July 11th. And I do sit on the board of the Black Arts and Cultural Center. And the Youth Day is on Friday from 12 to 4 p.m. at Lacrone Park. There'll be all kinds of activities and fun things for our youth to do on Friday, July 10th. And on the 11th then, Bronson Park, from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., there'll be entertainment, food trucks, artists, vendors, and the celebration of the Black Arts in Kalamazoo. So please join us. Please join us. And gratitude, I really want to give a shout out to Janine Seals, the Executive Director of the Black Arts and Cultural Center, for all the work she does in bringing the Black Arts to Kalamazoo. I was able to speak to one of the Parks and Rec camps, and a shout out to the folks that do seasonal work, especially with the Parks and Rec Department, with our youth, with our young people. I was able to speak to a group of about 30 young people who, after I was done, were going to go to Zap Zone. And so I was not the headline for the day. And they were very attentive. They had great questions. I was talking to them about what it is to do government and to do city government and municipal government and what that all entails. So I'd like to give a shout out to, again, our Parks and Rec Department, all the folks who work with our young people in Kalamazoo. And because we did declare a National Day of Summer Learning here in Kalamazoo, we have summer learning happening on a regular basis through these camps. And shout out to all the staff for your work with, and high energy work with these young people. And then lastly, on June 15th, we heard from a lot of folks about the data center. That seems to be a long ago history, but it's not. And there's still people are concerned about data centers and battery energy storage systems coming to our communities. And I want to give gratitude and a shout out to the county, to the folks at the county, because this isn't just a city issue. This is not a city. This is the county had on June 25th a panel of experts come to share and educate everyone in the county. About 150 people attended that event at Kalamazoo Valley Community College, and it was well attended. And it's especially where education, and you'll hear me talk a lot about education all the time. Everything that's happening here in Kalamazoo, there's nothing that education can't solve. And education means to draw forth your best self. By your comments tonight, public, you have drawn forth a better self from me. You have drawn a better self from our commission and from our city staff, and I appreciate that. So I certainly appreciate everyone being here, and hope to see everybody at the Black Arts Festival on Saturday, July 11th. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hess. Vice Mayor Duncan.
This one could be a long one, y'all. First, I want to address the thing that happened at Spring Valley. I want to remove my emotion from it. As a black man, watching this happen over the weekend was beyond revolting. And not only that, there were several instances where my city phone was contacted by residents of the city about the conduct of our Kalamazoo public safety. And while I have done a lot to thank them for the bravery and the hard work, we also need to be very clear and very on the record when things like this have happened. And so things that our city shares with us about how this should have been responded to, our city's use of force, our city's code of conduct for our police. Use of force. Officers may use only the amount of force that appears necessary based on the facts and circumstances of the time. What on earth would have made an officer think that elders and youth playing in the park would need the response of tear gas being brandished at children while they're 2 feet away? So we violated our own policy right there, in writing, right? Officers must consider risk to others, right? So this goes again to the collateral damage that goes on when you think you're gonna spray somebody because they're yelling at you, and you think you have authority and dominion over black folks just experiencing joy at the park. We should be ashamed of ourselves that we allowed this to happen, and then we allowed a secret meeting to take place that we weren't all a part of. So I'm extremely disappointed that took place and we were not invited. But we still have to answer to the public, so you're gonna hear me tonight. And age matters when it comes to considering the factors of use of force. So when we saw elders and youth in that park, we have 3 instances from our own city code that tells us how our officers should have responded to that, and we violated them all. We fell flat on them all. So this isn't about if somebody had a liquor bottle or loud music at the park. This is about people that they pay, not we, they pay them to do this job, showed up and accosted folks in a park for something that everybody, let us not forget, WMU just won a championship, right? People set couches on fire in this city. And no one batted an eye. We called that celebration. But Black Joy brought police. To the gentleman that sent the email and called the police and said you heard 20 shots, you're a liar. And the community should be ashamed of you. I also want to say this. If we want to be serious about changing our city, you have to continue to show up like you did tonight. And while I'm not a president that was born and raised here, I love this place. This is my home now. I own it, and I ain't going nowhere. So I have to deal with the police just like you do as the public, and I'll be damned if this continues in the city that I serve, that people have elected me to serve. So I'm extremely disappointed in the lack of de-escalation. I'm extremely disappointed in the need for a better customer service from our officers. That didn't happen. We need to look at the mobile nuisance party that people on this commission sitting now voted for. That language is vague, and it allows our police to use it to go around the community and chattel our people into vans and take them to the county that don't got no running water. So I have a problem when we say we are a trauma-informed community and we have officers that show up like that. When we come up here every meeting and we say, thank you for saving people from kidnappings and burning buildings, and that stuff matters. But I think the most important thing is when courage is a precursor to the job, fear is no excuse for misconduct. So what are we going to do to hold people accountable? Those people out there, if they received any warnings, any tickets, anything, I am asking my colleagues to give direction to the city manager that we delete those things, and that needs to happen fast, not slow. And then I also want to speak, and I'm done with that. That's the energy I'm going to give to Spring Valley in our police. The next conversation we should have as an elected body is how we're going to handle the officers that showed their tail at that park. I ran on third spaces. Tonight, you heard over and over and over again, there is nowhere for anybody to go besides work, school, and home. And when they gather in other places, they're accosted. So we've got the budget is coming up, and I want to be on the record about this, right? We're going to be talking about the money in a couple months about next year. We better find some courage and some dollars to figure out some third spaces, expanding the Boys and Girls Club, buying a pole barn. There's a nice weed shop going out of business outside of Millwood that we could purchase. There's a lot of things that we could do to bring a space here to activate our community and give people somewhere to go. And then to the issues of Flock and the North Side. When you walk through the North Side and when you talk to the residents of the North Side, they give us testimony likened to it being an open-air prison. And we, again, should be ashamed of that. The lights don't turn off. The cameras talk to you all day and all night. And while safety is important, there are ways that we can integrate safety into that community without perverting that into, again, creating an open-air prison where people don't feel safe to walk their dogs or do anything in front of the cameras. We have people who have come from the community and said that their kids are having cameras pointed into their windows, and we just have to be more intentional about the things that we're doing there. And lastly, people of this community, Black people experiencing joy is not a threat. It is not a threat. And if you feel such, seek help. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. One small thank you also. Thank you for filling in for me last meeting and sharing the meeting. I appreciate it very, very much. I want to apologize just in a general way, not only to my colleagues, but a little bit to the community. I have actually been fairly ill the last couple of months, something I haven't experienced, luckily for me, in years and years and years. That was contributed to my missing the last meeting, and it's also contributed to me attending fewer community events over the last 2 or 3 months, which is actually something I have regularly done, is attended a lot of community events in the neighborhoods, out in the community on a regular basis, which I really enjoy doing that. I'm hoping to get back into that. I'm coming back. I'm like 90%, but I have been a bit absent as of recently. Related to this conversation, I appreciate the passion, Vice Mayor, that you're bringing to this. I mean, I am personally committed to making sure that Kalamazoo is a place where all residents are included and feel supported and can dream and thrive. So wherever that conversation goes, you know, that's my North Star on that. Also, I do want to say that I do support our city manager. Our city manager's been here since January. I know your heart, city manager, and I appreciate the work you're doing and the work you will continue to do here, and I am personally supportive of you being here and I appreciate your thinking and your efforts, and look forward to more efforts coming out of your office relating to issues like this. So thank you, Manager Hankins. The last thing I wanted to say is related to a somewhat different event here, and I guess it's a little bit of history, but it's a gentleman named Fred Jones, who I had an opportunity to attend his celebration of life here recently in town, a long time resident in Kalamazoo, someone I've known for a long time, and someone who I've also felt a particular affinity for, because he started his work-life career as a Mason, which I did also. And the first message I want to say out of that is that when it comes to being able to create a life for yourself, that where you can take care of yourself and your family and live a quality of life, which we're going to all work to make sure everybody can experience in town, nothing wrong with the trades. And I know we talk a lot about college in this town here, but trades are just as important. That's how the real work gets done. And that was the first message I took away from just remembering Fred Jones and how he got started. But more than that, I want to reference something else, which is probably going to seem a little old school, I'm not sure. And it's related to poetry, which I can't remember I've ever read a line from a poem before. But I was reminded after that event by some folks that were very close to Fred Jones of something that he used to say on a regular basis. And that was this: "Ah, but a man's reach should exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for?" I don't know if that's a line that younger people have heard before or not, but that is a quote from a Robert Browning poem. And what does that mean? That means that the essence of that is that human life gains purpose and meaning when we aim for aspirations that surpass our current capabilities. Nicely put in a poem a long time ago. That is what I want for everyone here in the city of Kalamazoo. Our reach should exceed our grasp. I love you, Kalamazoo. We're adjourned.